Next is Korea, which is the region with the previous PGC 2023 champion. But this year, they only have 3 teams based on PGC points, not having a single team advancing with the PGS points.
Yeah, it's been a rough year. There's been a lot of roster changes throughout Korea. The Kwangdong Freaks probably have been the most consistent for Korea throughout 2024, but it still hasn't been great. Yes, you've got great fraggers on that team. Salud is the first one that comes to your mind. He was on Danawa last year, has a trophy, and he's been good. The whole team's been good, but they haven't been great. So we need to see some, better performances from them on the international stage.
Next, T1. T1 was out of PUBG esports scene for a while, but they have created a team this year and participated in PUBG esports.
Yeah, so it's the old BSG roster, plus you bring in Type. He's fragging very well for them. They're still seemingly trying to get all on the same page and trying to adapt to the international lobbies.
So last could be Gen G with top 3 in the player PGC points. They were struggling a little bit in this year, but they did show a great performance in the last event, PGS 6.
Yeah, so it finally started to come together towards the end of the year here. The beginning of the year as well, they looked really, really strong in PWS. You have Barpo, who was one of the best fraggers in PWS in 2023. Adder, a veteran player. So Rex as well, those two have played together. But it hasn't been consistent. And the real question is what we saw at the end of PGS 6, is that going to be the Gen G that shows up at PGC?
Last but not least is APAC region.
I want to start with the Expendables. They're the team that kind of ended 17's hopes of winning PGS 5. Who knows what they're going to do at their peak? They could be really, really good.
Next is Daytrade Gaming. This Thailand team have been in the top, but recently they seem to struggle a bit. But in PGS 6, they have shown.
They finally found their confidence. I think they just needed to start taking good fights, finding their opportunities. Hopefully they can really push the envelope and show us like a top 8 finish or even better.
So next coming up is Bleed Esports from Indonesia.
They're solid players. A lot of them have been around for quite some time in PUBG esports, but they haven't really blown the doors off of us this year. So seeing if maybe they can improve on some of that, come into PGC with some new strategies, some new ideas, and who knows, maybe they're going to make grand finals. There's enough talent there for sure.
Who had qualified as a wild card, Host City Seed, our Malaysian team, Schweiger Dui.
If you ever watched PCS Asia, you're going to be familiar with a lot of these players. You have MML, who used to be Tian Tian, who was on Tianba. You have Mings, who was also on Tianba and Petrichor Road at one point. Then you have Jervis and Payne used to be Sophia. That's a player that a lot of people know. They're pretty stacked.
So we've looked through all the 24 teams participating in PGC 2024. And we also have to focus on each player. Who do you think have a potential to win the MVP?
I think everybody's going to think of Example first. Guy is absolutely insane. In particular, his DMR has been really, really on point this year. He's got a well-balanced play style as well. He can get it done. So he has everything you could want out of a star player.
Next MVP candidate, I think it could be a Severus Esports Himas.
Him and Example are number 1 and 2 in the world right now. There is no question about that. Everybody thinks that. They are amazing. But there's a little bit different. Himas is probably a little bit better with assault rifles. He's really good in those clutch situations, in those 1vx scenarios. So that's probably where you'd maybe give him a little bit of an edge. But it's hard to compare because they're both so darn good. Shrimzy from Sonics, he kind of plays more of a backline role. He's so good with the AUG, so he could be your MVP. Sparking is another one of those just amazing all-around players. Great mechanics in every regard, DMR or AR. And he's also got just great reactions. It's hard to pick with 17 because there's so many good players on that team. Lil Ghost, Xiao Wu, Xiao Bei. Any 3 of those guys could actually win an MVP. However, I think we should look at Petrichor Road. They do have a really good performance this year at EWC, and Akesleft is a big part of that. So if they pop off at PGC, it could actually be Akesleft.
Today we have been talking about the participating teams, things to watch for in the PGC 2024. I want to explain more about some action and activities that we can enjoy for PGC 2024. First is always Pick'em Challenge. PGC 2024 item is out. How do you think?
I love it. It's got this like futuristic soldier feel. It's quite different from some of the other skins we've had for previous events. So I think these are really, really cool.
Yeah, so if you buy this PGC 2024 items, you can get a voting coupons and participate in Pick the Winner Pick'em Challenge. You can vote until December 20th, 5 p.m. KST. Look at the circuit stage. So don't forget to watch the full circuit system and guess the winner and get this cool EP items too. Also, they have a free challenge, Team Face Off, so please check in game. And this is our pick for the Pick'em Challenge.
And of course, we also have the Twire Fantasy. It really makes watching PUBG Sports a lot more fun.
We also have a drops event. You can earn items by watching live stream of PGC 2024 based on your watch time.
And I also heard that there's another exciting thing to look forward to at PGC 2024. There's going to be a pre-event match before the official event starts.
Yes, we're gonna have a pre-event match on December 8th in 1 p.m. Malaysian time in the brand new Sun-Up where things are destructible. So I think it's gonna be really exciting pre-event match. But here, 48 players will be participating, so 2 players from each team. And there will be 4 matches, and there will also be 10,000 prize pool. So don't miss out this pre-event match too. From the beginning, we have been talking about everything we have to know to better enjoy PUBG Global Championship 2024. How was it today?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I'm really excited for PGC again. I can't wait to go back to Malaysia. It's a beautiful country. Really amazing stuff that we're going to see from these players and these teams there as always. So I can't wait for it to start.
We'll have an audience in the grand finals, so you can enjoy the grand final and a lot of offline activities. Please check out the ticket information that will be announced in the PUBGsports.com. And not only that, please enjoy our online activities too. So stay tuned for PUBG Global Championship 2024, which is kicking off in Malaysia on December 9th. And check out which team will be lifting the trophy at the end. We'll meet you in Malaysia. Bye-bye.
The top 4 titans of PGS points will walk down the causeway now and join the fray. We are in day number 3 of Circuit 1 as we figure out who is going to be able to rack up all of those points to try and qualify through to the PGS Grand Final. And those titans are terrifying. Joining me to my left-hand side to get everything going, I have a Vanguard himself. Yes. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm excited here. My first day, obviously, but it's starting in a final, and it's deciding so many things here. But also, we have 4 teams joining us, as you said here. That's going to be their first day, and that's kind of exciting to me because, sure, they are going up against 12 other teams that have some practice, have had a day already or 2 for some of them, and that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, they are terrifying, the teams that are going to be joining the lobby. However, will they be able to conquer the the pace that has been set by Kwangdong Freaks? That is the big question on everyone's minds throughout the day. Of course, we also have our partners joining us for PGC 2024 as well. A huge thank you to them. First and foremost, we have ourselves OP.GG, our official and main esports partner for PUBG. You can overpower your game if you head over to op.gg. We also are here live from the Tropicana Garden Mall, our official venue partner. We are right here, right now. It's happening right now in the Tropicana Garden Mall, so thank you to them. Oh, I choked there for a second. It's all good. Next up, we've got TT Racing as well. Thank you to them as our official furniture partner, allowing all of these players to be comfortable behind us, ready to go, ready to get into the Battlegrounds and be able to shoot at everybody they see in comfort and leisure. And finally, we have ourselves a Cooper, our official hand warmer partner as well here. I do have one here. However, I'm quite warm, so I'm not going to turn it on right now. I don't need it at the moment.
Yeah, but if you're sitting at home and it's freezing, when we get back, it's going to be freezing back in northern parts of Europe.
Me in Poland, I am so happy I have this right now.
Great.
I'm
also,
in
when
the
you're gonna go out on walks out there, you can have them in your pockets, and
that's
really
a good idea.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Oh, I
like it.
You guys at home can also be involved with the potential of winning yourself a chunk of 2 million G-Coin. Basically, what you have to do is go over to that QR code and predict as to who you think is going to be the, well, not who is going to be the winner, but the winning points of the team at the end. And then if you are correct, congratulations, and you get a chunk of 2 million.
That's a lot of schematics.
That's a lot of schematics. That's a lot of G-Coin. And finally, we also have our Neo Media icon lights that you can get lovely here. You can see it right there if you head on over there as well. They're partnered with PUBG Battlegrounds as well. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this, Martin, because I think as much as, yes, we have the true titans joining the fray right now as we take a look at the schedule and everything that's going on, it does bear repeating. Kwangdong Freaks has had a brilliant 2 days leading up to this. They are definitely the one that a lot of people will have their eyes on alongside our new PGS members.
Yeah, the big question is really, with these 2 days that they've been putting themselves into this kind of favoritism spot, you would say, almost.
Sure.
The 4 teams coming in, are they going to be able to go in and pull that handbrake, right? Because right now, the amount of confidence you're going to be able to have from dominating 2 days in a row, it's going to be really, really high, right? So how are they going to be contested? How are we going to see kind of going out today? And I think a lot of things are going to be decided today because obviously we are playing 3 circuits. They have to get to these circuit finals, and I would say even if you miss just 1 circuit final, that's going to be a little bit hard.
That's rough.
It is going to be a little bit rough, right? Because there are going to be 8 teams here that are not going to be playing in the finals. You need to accrue some of those points.
You need to get a lot of points on the board. As always, our usual true and tried super system for all of this. So 10 points for that first place, 1 kill point per point, I suppose. And when you think about it as well, the asterisk against Kwangdong Freaks was that, oh, day 1, yeah, but the top 8 aren't there. And then day 2, was there an asterisk?
The top 4 is not there.
But will it continue? Will it continue? That's the question. Now, all these teams are fighting for a 1.5 million plus crowdfunding, as well as becoming the world champion. And here is the teams that I will be representing today. The 4 joining: Twisted Minds, Sonics, Cerberus Esports, and 17 Gaming. For all of the teams involved that have been able to get through to this final day, fantastic stuff. However, it comes at the caveat of those teams not being in those previous lobbies, and they are murderous. They are terrifying to go up against.
If you ask so many people, like, potential winners here, like, this is favorites of the PGC 2024, right? And once we come in with that, like, I would say there's a high chance that one of those teams there right now, everyone is, 65% or something like that of the votes in the game are saying right now Twisted Minds are going to be winning. But it really comes down to what happens today, right? You have to start strong, but still, if you're at Twisted Minds and you have now 7 days left, I don't really see them playing, day 1 of circuits. They are probably going to finish in the top 8 coming into this, right? But still, I feel like with the amount of preparation that they have and with the great amount of Petulins, I definitely think that's going to be such a strong force for them because they improve over the course of tournaments so much, right? And that was the downfall at EWC. They didn't have a lower bracket. They didn't have anything else. Just one group stage into the finals, but they get so much better throughout the course of a tournament.
Yeah, I do want to continue focusing on Twisted Minds here for a moment because I would almost be offended as a desk host if we didn't focus on this team that has just transcended. Again, I've said it many times, we're currently now in the Twisted era. After having 3 PGSs, somebody is going to have to topple them. And they come in not only to our first circuit as the favorites to win the circuit day or whatever, and got a lot of points. They're the favorite to win the entire damn tournament.
Exactly, they are. I mean, this is their year, it feels like, right? And if it wasn't for EWC, everyone would be saying, okay, it would not be 65.
Disgusting if they won
EWC. Yeah, it wouldn't be 65%. It would be 100%.
Yes.
Obviously, here, FaZe Clan Gen G has also been participating in all the PGCs, but still, Twisted Minds for this event, it feels like it's their time. As you said here, the Twisted era, it definitely feels like it is their time for.
And of course, we have people returning from all of the PGCs, and 2 of those players, we have Shrimzy and H-Win, have been a constant when it comes to PGC. So let's talk about Sonics briefly here as well. Second, when it comes to PGS points, they are the Esports World Cup champions, and I think that they are also not to be underestimated. It doesn't matter what happened at our last PGS 6. Obviously, yes, not getting through into that grand final, but again, we've had Twisted Minds have a stumble block over at EWC as well. So Sonics is definitely one to keep your eyes on for this as well.
I 100% agree. I mean, true and tested for these guys, right? And tried and tested even. But 11th place is their best placement for PGC, right? And as you said here, they didn't make it in the last PGS in the finals, but still, I definitely think with the way that the format kind of works out for them, if they don't get too contested, we'll see what happens in Gatka area today. But yeah, it's going to be exciting stuff. And also that we're starting on our angle. I talked to them a little bit in the gym, actually, and they were like, yeah, if we are ending up in having, you know, not that many points in the first 2 games, then it could be, yeah, it could be hard for them.
Well, before we talk about other teams, let's get behind the scenes look at what's going on here at PGC.
I think player launch is more fun right now. We have a pool, PlayStation. Players can play each other. It's more fun right now. I like this player launch.
大家好，我是11战队的小北。今年战队的预期，我们肯定是奔着前4去打的嘛，因为前4可以直接晋级第2轮的决赛嘛，肯定奔着前4去打的，可能越靠前越好。然后呢，我感觉劲敌的话肯定是 KDF 嘛，因为觉得他们签运也好，状态也好，给圈的能把握住。18天18场吃了6把鸡，觉得他们是一个 争冠的队伍，觉得手拿把掐的队伍，那肯定是 SQ 跟哪位啊？因为他们俩都跟我们抢过 P 城，然后都被我们打跑了，所以我觉得他们好打。
Of course, we have other head-to-heads coming along here as we have Kwangdong Freaks and T1 facing off against one another. They did fantastic in day number 2, but actually this isn't exactly where I want my focus to be right now because we have these other 2 teams coming in from PGS. They've deserved to be talked about when it comes to them. So Cerberus Gaming, I want to talk about Cerberus Esports. I want to talk about them. Obviously, coming in as 3rd from those PGS rankings. What do you think for their prospects?
Yeah, I think for what it is, they're not the strongest team as we've ever seen them, right? And that's the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem for me, is that I think they are a team that, you know, is in such a great situation. Him as such a star player, but yeah, we heard it in a few interviews, right? Tycon is missing.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a huge talking point. And is it gonna be enough? I still think they're potential top 5 here.
Yeah.
But right now, I think there are teams that are looking stronger currently in their current performance level than what we see them at right now.
Well, I suppose we should actually focus on Kwangdong Freaks and T1 whilst we're looking at the highlights here from this. As much as I would like to talk about those PGS teams, but we don't have a lot of time before we actually get into those games. Yeah, it was great to see Kwangdong Freaks continue this on into day 2 with another 3 chicken dinners under their belt. I think they've really, as much as everyone considers Kwangdong Freaks as a great team, I think these 2 days have transcended a lot of people's opinions as to where they could potentially settle here at the World Championship. I think now everyone is looking suddenly at them as, hey, they actually might go a very, very long way in this World Championship.
I will say this, though. I think there are so many things coming their way in a lot of their games. The important shifts, it's not we're talking like catch 9, center circle all the time and everything, but still, there's a lot of things coming their way, especially with the important shifts in the mid-game, where it's beneficial for them enough to set themselves up for success. Of course, sure, there is the confidence that they're going to be having from winning so many games and from doing so well. Also, Salute is playing absolutely out of his mind, right? I think back-to-back most points on Fantasy both days, right? So it's just on a completely different level for that. But yeah, we can't really say and tell much about them before we've seen how they're playing against these 4 teams coming in.
Oh, absolutely, and you guys can not only watch them here, but you can also watch them on all the co-streamers streams as well, so make sure to check all those out. T1, obviously, yesterday, very much impressive as well. Day 1, it was scraping by, but really a great resurgence from them in the second day. Our final PGS team that I really want to talk about coming in as well, 17 Gaming, and they deserve to be as well, considering we have seen so many high-profile second places from 17 Gaming. They're a team that I think is eventually destined almost to win a world championship. Yeah. But in this twisted era, is it another second place on the? I think they're scared about becoming a true Kong, which is kind of an old Korean kind of curse almost of always getting second place.
They have won in Malaysia before, right? So it's a case of where we could say returning Malaysia, defending Malaysia champions a little bit. You could say, but still, I think if everything works for them as it's supposed to, with drops uncontested and everything is kind of coming their way, they're in there. They have a chance to do it. We've seen it multiple times. It's just those small things, right? Those 1-2 points every single game. We're playing 18 games in the final, right? 1-2 points extra in each game. it would be making them champions.
Sure, yeah, I have to agree. Take a look at the fantasy numbers coming in.
Oh
as
my
well
God.
here, and all the picks that are
1,
going down.
2, 3, 4.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Bean had a brilliant day yesterday,
Yeah.
right? To be able to jump up there alongside all of his compatriots, brilliant stuff. I will say, whilst we take a look at these numbers as well, Twisted Minds, obviously #1 in the world right now, it's pretty much undisputed.
Right.
But when you go to Sonic's, Cerberus, and 17, as much as 17's got so many second places and things like that, it's hard for me to pick who is the second right now in the world between those three. Do you agree, or?
Yeah, but I would even put in... Yeah.
Other names, you think?
Yeah, I would even put in Navi maybe, actually.
Navi?
As that contester, you know.
Jeez, okay, you're like, you're chaotic evil.
Yeah,
that's,
I am.
that's
2.35% agrees with me.
Well,
I want to point out, though,
yeah,
Nixie being in 5th in terms of overall points gain obviously means that damage and kills has gone his way.
Yes.
Pretty impressive considering we don't see VP here today. That is he obviously had a really good day one, but still that's pretty impressive considering how much domination we saw from KDF.
I would have to agree. It's well, obviously we'll be seeing them in the next circuits coming up here. But for today, it's 6 matches and 6 matches only. Every single one of these games will contribute points towards qualifying through into that PGC Grand Final. We start things on Erangel and we will finish off with Miramar later on after we've, of course, had those wild card maps. And I mean, obviously, we have this every single day, just a kind of shift of the rotation as a whole. But one thing that's interesting about the fact that we always have our 4 maps is the fact that it really does present such a different challenge. It's warm in here, guys. I'm sorry. It presents a different challenge on every single one of these battlegrounds.
It does.
So you've got to be super diverse and kind of adaptive in your playstyle at this very top level.
Yeah, for sure. And for our 2 wildcard maps, and it has to be, you know, that approach to the games and how our wildcard maps work out, right? Rondo and Teiko is just, it is hard maps to come by. It's a hard maps, and I feel like the mentality of the team's like, yeah, we might just get some points there. You still have to play extremely consistent on our angle. Yeah. But once you come onto Miramar, where you're thinking, okay, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be getting the points that we're used to. There are teams that have played 4 games and already qualified that can be messing with your drop spots, hot dropping you. That's the really scary thing here in the circuits, is that after 4 games, you have these teams that are qualified that are, and we have been seeing it already in the circuits, gonna be hot dropping you.
All right, well, it's the first opportunity to get points towards the PGC Grand Final here at PGC 2024.
제가 데뷔를 한 지 얼마 안 됐을 때는 제 꿈이었고, 그리고 중간쯤 됐을 때는 희망이었고, 그리고 지금 와서는 증명을 하는 자리라고 생각합니다. PC의 첫 챔피언, 저희가 잃어버린 왕관을 다시 되찾고 한국이 세계 최고임을 증명하겠습니다.
I mean, it feels really good. Obviously, we qualified because of another team's performance, but that's just how it is, and we're going to make the best out of it. We haven't been in the spotlight, we've been in the shadows. Underestimate us at your own risk, and we're coming for the top.
สำหรับผม PSC เป็นทัวร์ที่ใหญ่ที่สุดเลยครับ แล้วก็เราทำมาทั้งปีเพื่อรายการนี้นะครับ ถ้าฟอร์มการเล่นของทีมเราค่อนข้างดีก็มีสิทธิ์ที่จะเป็นแชมป์สูงครับ แล้วก็ถ้าเห็นว่าธนดลขึ้นโหมดคิวเมื่อไหร่ก็เจอกันครับแชมเปี้ยน
PEC 对我的意义就是也算是个梦想吧，就刚打这个游戏开始到现在，一直都想要拿到一个成绩，每一次挫折都让我们更坚定。我要在 PGC 里留下我们的印记，无怨无悔，只有不懈追求。
PGC means a lot to us this year. We need to end it strong and show to our fans that we belong in the top. Like, we are an inconsistent team, but on our day we can easily beat these teams.
我还是蛮有信心的，毕竟就是5、6之后就是休息了也蛮长一段时间了嘛，然后我觉得我们调整了还是可以的。有的时候我感觉我们打短赛制的那种赛程就可能没发挥的就记了，但是如果就是让我们找到状态，其实我们还是很有竞争力的。
Ніяк не вплинули результати ПА-6. Ми повернулися до старих стратегій, змінили споти на старі, та я вважаю, що ми виступимо гарніше, ніж на ПА-6. Ціль – це виграти всі турніри за рік і виграти 3 глобали підряд.
작년 2023년 PGC는 진짜 경험을
짜릿함을 떠나서 제 삶에 잊지 못한 짜릿함이었던 것 같고 이번 연도에도 그런 경험을 좀 겪을 수 있으면 좋겠다라는 생각이 드는 것 같습니다.
A lot of the community, they like to talk about this thing called the Sonic's money buff, where the bigger the prize pool is, usually the better we play. That hasn't been true exactly for PGCs recently because for plethora of reasons, but this PGC we're looking to change that. PGC to me feels like the last Infinity Stone on my gauntlet, a PGS, an Esports World Cup, a PGIS, regionals. It's time to win a PGC.
I think this team and NA in general is performing the best right now, and I'm just happy to be on this team. Honestly, I think it's the most talented roster with the addition of Sparking, obviously. There's definitely new heights that are reachable for us. It means more, it might mean more to other teams or to fans, but trophy's a trophy for me, and I just want to lift one.
BC là giải đấu cuối cùng của năm và đó chính là nó khá là ý nghĩa với em vì đây là giải đấu cuối năm rồi nên là tụi em sẽ chấp sức hết mình để giành lấy chức vô địch để cuối năm ăn Tết cho tụi mình đến đây để chiến thắng và các team còn lại hãy cẩn thận đội của mình vì bọn mình sẽ lấy hết tất cả các mũ của các team còn lại.
我觉得今年 PGC 这种时期最有竞争力，其他都不行。我们知道我们可以，我们拿过成绩。Twitch 是一个很强大的对手，但是我觉得我们比他们更强。
I can call this year pretty successful. We won 3 PGS tournaments. I expect all of the teams to be our opponents. It's Twisted Minds against the whole world.
And here we are, the grand finals for Circuit 1. We've taken the 8 best teams and managed to qualify their way through the entirety of it, stacked them in slowly and steadily, adding in another 4, and now we're bringing in our top 4 to see what's going to happen. Remember, this is a bit of a change-up from what we've been seeing moving through the first 2 days. Nobody's dropping off the bottom 4. We're going to reset into a new circuit, but today matters because this is how you pick up qualifying points, not just for Circuit 2 in your placement, but for the overall grand final.
Exactly correct. So today is a massive day for these teams. Their first chance to accumulate points to make it into the grand finals here at PGC 2024. Of course, that's goal number 1. Get as many points as possible. Goal number 2 behind that, finish as high as you can. Obviously, you want to do that, but being top 4 here means you get seeded directly into the last day of the next circuit. Being top 8, excuse me, like 5th to 8th means you're going to at least get into that day 2. So top 8 is really going to be very, very valuable. So every game is going to matter, Matt. Every point is going to matter.
And there's a lot of conversation going on around this because, like, yeah, being in the top 4 is great. Being in the top 8 is great, but also means that you do have to kind of sit back and watch. So whenever you have a squad that's like popping off like freaks coming in hot today, they are going to have a bit more of the practice coming into it. The question is, can they now continue that consistency that we've seen over the last 2 days as we bring in the 4 big dogs?
Absolutely. That's a big question, I think. You know, with the 4 teams that have been our best teams throughout the year, are they going to be coming in a little bit cold today is kind of the question that on my mind. Like, I don't think that's going to bother Twisted Minds. I think they're perfectly fine throughout this year. It seems like they've gotten over that kind of bug of maybe having slow starts sometimes. Except for like the grand finals of PGS5, but beyond that, they've
except
been
for
pretty
this
good.
one time and then that other time. That's my only concern with Twisted Minds. Sometimes they can start a bit slow, but I think that they have a point to prove, and I think that they're going to come out swinging. The problem with it is we also have squads like Cerberus that are going to be coming out swinging. We've got Sonics that are going to be trying to make a name for themselves. So there is a lot of teams that have been sitting back, watching, studying what these guys have been doing. Now our 4 best teams that have been doing all that studying get to come in and try to assert their authority inside of what have been some pretty crazy circles and pretty insane matchups, really.
It really has been quite wild, and what's been the most wild part is the fact that through 2 stages of this circuit, or 2 days of this circuit, it's been the Freaks dominating. And look, I'm a PWS guy. I live in South Korea. I've lived there for a long time. I've been casting, you know, the Korean teams for so long. And believe me, it is shocking to see them do that well. I think they're a good team. I know they're a good team, but for them to come into this tournament and play like that was beyond anything I had expected.
I'll be honest, Freaks Performance made picking fantasy squads today really, really hard. Because you have to pick between like Example, and you have to pick between Hamas, and now you've got Salute that's popping off. But it is time to make our way into Erangel. We have our first game of the Circuit 1 Grand Final.
I am so hyped for this. And another team you got to be hyped for that we didn't get a chance to talk about was 17 Gaming. One of the most well-balanced teams, I think, in the world outside of Twisted Minds. You know, everybody on that team is capable of popping off. Xiao Wu has probably been their best overall player this year, but that doesn't mean anybody else on that team is a slouch. They've got firm control over the central drop spots on the map, I believe. I don't think Navi is going to mess with them this time. And there's nobody like SGD who might kind of flirt with dealing with the pachinko situation. So this is another team that I think has a real chance to pop off. But who knows? It's only 6 games today. You can't come in cold.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the importance of momentum off of the first game and really giving you, I guess, an edge to play a bit more loose and more aggressive in the later stages, kind of creating a snowball effect. So game 1 is extremely vital for all of these squads, and we've got a plane path that's going over Millie Base and ending up around Kameshki. So this could be spicy off the get-go.
Absolutely. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, you and I, we're big fans of the crazy circles, so certainly in play. I'd like to see a Stalber circle today. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, you and I think on very similar wavelengths. But we're going a little bit south towards Cerberus, towards the farm. See exactly where the next couple of circles go. There is going to be, you know, some shots that ring out early here and there. As teams are trying to maybe, you know, contest for a vehicle or something like that, but it looks pretty quiet on the map as far as I can see.
Look, I like me a Stalbert game, but I'll take a Death Road game too. Death Road games are really, really fun whenever you have that north-south firefight happening across it while somebody's just trying to hold the top. So a lot of interesting stuff to be looking at. Inside positioning, you can see it's going to be Sonic's going to be just around the God Compounds north of Rajat. Not quite inside the circle, but close enough that they can pretty much see it, so no big concerns from them. Just to the south is going to be the Freaks. They're holding down Rajat, and then we've got Twisted just to the south of them. Then over in Pachinki, we've got 17, so this is a very dangerous corridor to be in.
Absolutely. I'm pretty curious about the Sonics, what they're going to do out of this position. You know that you've potentially got a team north of you. We can see it on the map. It's Petrichor Road. So do you continue to try to go west to get more loot, come in late to the circle, play a little bit of edge? I mean, I will say the Freaks kind of play edge. They don't play it in kind of the traditional sense where they're always out there and that's where they're looking to go. But they, by the nature of some of the early circles, from what I was seeing, had to play some edge. Now, like the middle circles at times could be pretty favorable to them during the last couple of days. But what has made the Freaks so good, in my opinion, the kind of deciding factor of why they were able to win probably 3 out of those 6 games that they won, was their breaches on compounds were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the best you'll ever see.
That was like, you can't even say it's textbook, because they were modifying, really innovating the way that they would like approach buildings and use like cars so that way they could block out the capabilities for a Panzerfaust coming after them. I love to see it. You were talking about the importance of center meta. I'm a bit concerned for these other squads. If we do see a centering meta come into play, the squads that are already closest to center are going to be Cerberus, 17, Twisted Minds, and Falcons.
Absolutely.
That is scary to try to approach.
No doubt about it. I mean, and that's, you know, part of the reason that the best teams in the world are often dropping in those central or near central locations. First of all, they're good enough that they can contest anybody who tries to mess with them in those spots, but also the importance of having those spots in general cannot be overstated, because you're very likely to at least be in the first circle. It's extremely likely, because of the size of it, that you're going to be in that first circle. So that's going to give you extra time to loot. That's going to give you time to make sure you have your vehicles. A lot of those compounds are going to be fairly vehicle heavy anyway, so you're going to have decent access to that. You're going to have access to priority spots then in a lot of the early circles because of your locations.
I said center of circle where these guys are at. We know that this is probably going north, but with the way the circle's going, who knows? It feels like that's going to be the closest location for them. BB team also making a rotation right now, kind of close to FaZe, but FaZe just a little while ago took a casualty, so they're going to kind of let that one go up underneath of them. So it looks like Sharkfin's going to go over to BB. That's going to be one of the first moving squads. 17 already making a play as well for positioning on the Potato Hill side just to the east of Pachinki. That's going to buy them some good positioning. Early rotations feels like they're going to be very beneficial in the circle.
Absolutely. That for 17, this is a really good early vantage point. Again, one of the reasons that a lot of teams want to drop Pachinki is you're going to have access to a lot of hills that are around the outside of Pachinki before anybody else does. So you're going to get a lot more early information. You're going to have the ability to kind of figure out what's going on around you and make plays based off of that. And this year, it's been a lot of Lil Ghost out in the lead. He's actually trailing as the anchor this time, as the other three players pretty much knew they could get to this compound for free. So he's going to be the one trailing in behind up on the high ground, potentially doing a little bit of scouting, or maybe he's just going to drive in and they're just going to fortify this compound. Maybe they're just going to play for center, just try to lock this down. They're kind of expecting based on what you see in heat maps with where circles like to end, that maybe, look, there's a pretty good chance this is going to end south Potato Hill. Let's just play for that.
This is classic PUBG positioning. I'm talking like all the way back. When we're looking like 2018, 2019, we saw like the compound at 17 taking be a very vital component for a lot of squads in the way that they wanted to maneuver. You didn't see the Freaks and T1 kind of bump into each other. Just a little bit of a dust-up, nothing too scary yet. But Freaks continuing the path away from T1 puts him pretty close to Twisted Minds, which could be a problem, but I think that the hillside should provide enough cover to kind of allow them to rotate away for now.
Yeah, okay, so they did send Lil Ghost out quite a bit further ahead of the rest of 17. So that's pretty much been their MO. The Freaks are trying to find something, and this is going to be a much more challenging lobby with those four teams that were the top of our PGS points coming through. Yeah, it's not going to be nearly as easy for them to find that open space. Any of those breaches against those teams is going to be that much more difficult. Well, speaking of Lil Ghost, he flew a little too close to the sun.
Well, we've got a secondary problem, though, as it looks like Freaks were going to shift over to where Eternal Fire already positioned up, and they cannot continue their pathing over there. So they're going to kind of dance around its positioning. Salute's already kind of playing to the north of this and has them a safety anchor position that they can retreat back to. Looks like that might be what they're opting for. So Little Ghost, while he did get downed, I'm assuming that this should be resable, but smokes are going to be down as well just to make sure that it's safe enough. Problem with it is that's going to be Cerberus, that it's going to be 17 right next to them, and Cerberus can sometimes get a bit friendly in these early games, so feel free to go a bit more crazy. One of the reasons I love them.
It is one of the most fun teams in the world to watch, no doubt about it. Not just because Himas is absolutely outrageously good at the game, but the team in general plays with a little bit of a different flair, a little bit of a different style. You can see, if you're looking at the map right now, you can see that they're very spread out in some respects, right? They've got a 2-1-1 split, so they're willing to take a little bit more space, give some of their players a little bit more freedom to kind of control that area. And, 17 did have to rotate another player in to take over that lost ground. TE driving right by Flash. This is pretty well outside of the circle. Let's take a look at some highlights here from Day Trade. All right, well, I did not expect this. This is outside of the first circle. TE, I don't know if they necessarily know. Something must have gave it away downstairs, because it looked like they were maybe thinking they could use this to do a little scouting or get a little extra loot. Maybe there was some loot taken out there. Still hitting some good shots, his Flash. Wow, he almost got Glories there.
Gonna go ahead and scare him away. Nobody really else on this vector right now for TE to have to contend with. Prison's pretty much open. Lumberyard Hillside also pretty open. So nobody else telling back behind them. Just Tanvu, who's on their team, so should be okay. Well, that's unfortunate, but should be fine. Outside this, Petrichor Road, Sonic's not yet inside the circle. Luna Galaxy's still on military base. No bridge camps, so nothing for them to be too concerned with. This has been a pretty easy circle for most of the teams to kind of path into. Looks like they've done a good job on just kind of reading it out. We had that one phase casualty a bit early, but outside that, it's just been a couple of bullets, testing the waters, seeing how much they can really get out of this. Nobody making a full commitment just quite yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nobody has suffered too much other than FaZe lost a player, but yeah, I mean, 17 was able to get the res onto Lil Ghost, so that's not the end of the world for them. Relo very, very close to Himas here. And what is going to be the play for one of the best fraggers we've ever seen in the game, with somebody potentially right underneath his nose? Hard to say. I mean, he's keeping himself obscured from that angle, so there's a decent chance that He's somewhat aware of Relo's positioning. Like you were just mentioning, Sonics, they actually went all the way over to North George to make sure they could get all the loot, so they didn't opt to really cut loot. They went for the heavy loot area, made sure that they're going to be good to go for that, and then decided to drive on in a little bit late. The good news for them is tons of space on the western edge of this circle.
Look at this. Twisted has actually started an emergency pickup just in case something weird happens. If anything, they also might be trying to delay other people using an emergency pickup, but they're pretty center of the northern section if this goes to the north.
Could hard shift south.
Could hard shift south. So I like the fact that they're prepared for it. Timing on it's also pretty good. So Sonics should be touching the safe zone right around the time that we see this new circle pop. Yep, H1 gets in, and then voila, we're cutting our way over to the east. We're going to keep Death Road in play, as well as Prison, Lumberyard, and Milta, with enough of the bridge to make it fun.
I'm curious what Twisted Minds wanted to do in a circle like this if they decide to go to try to get in towards Milta or something like that, but instead they're actually going to get in cars, make this northerly clockwise rotation that a lot of the other teams seem to be making as well. So everybody trying to get in towards the farm. Now this circle certainly feels like it's going to end in that general direction, and you're going to want to try to post up early to get some priority compounds.
There's two dead spaces in this that are a big problem for the teams to have to deal with. Over in the north around Shelter, we all know that that's pretty fieldy, pretty open. Then we still have a lot of the channel itself that's going to be down no longer playable because of the water down there. So that's going to lead a lot of these teams to have to be a bit more condensed in. Luckily with Milta, Farm, Death Road, there's enough places that people can play, but it means that there's going to be a lot of trading shots. If you get knocked in this rotation, there isn't going to be a chance to stop off. You're just going to have to make a committal in, and you're just going to have to gun it into a position you think is safe.
For sure. There is a little bit of gambling. There's also some dead space around the farm as well in terms of just, it's hard to find areas that are safe from other teams. So you're going to see a lot of teams kind of posting up around the farm, other than Na'Vi, who's got firm control of it to start the day. T1's going to stop up at the Shelter. You have Kraken doing a little bit of aerial scouting for Luna, who's still on Sosnovka Island, but the good news for them, a lot of those compounds, the crossroads, the gas station, all available once they cross that bridge, and that's a nice shot from Flood.
TE lined up over here. Let's take a look at some of their highlights and how they managed to perform so far.
Happy, by the way, got stuck on the bridge. Somehow the Expendables get to the other side and they rip them apart.
Reluctant squad trying to push outside of that yellow and see if they can get a third party.
They're still rallying on despite having only 1 point. There's definitely more to garner up against the rest of E-Arena. We now have to look for that space directly in the center where we see that rupture.
You were saying you're kind of curious about the way that TE's setting themselves up here, Matt.
Yeah, they've got a full one-man squad separated all the way across. Duck Juice all by himself, still up around Lumberyard. This is pretty greedy at this stage, so a bit afraid for him, as we do have one of the phase members that did get knocked, should be rezzed, but TSM also taking a couple of bullets as they ventured out of their safety zone, and they've got Cerberus to the north as well as 17 to the north. Sonic's also rotating on a similar path. Looks like they might just try to play against the coastline. Could be bumping into TSM here pretty soon.
Yeah, TSM obviously just getting through to this first circuit finals by the skin of their teeth, and they had to kind of back off a little bit, couldn't find that angle past Cerberus that they maybe would have liked, and so instead they're gonna have to settle for the mini pier.
And I would say that's everybody that is watching TSM, even TSM themselves, were pretty disappointed by that. This is a squad that has been playing very, very well internationally and just didn't really find success yesterday, so you know that they're trying to counter back in, figure out whatever was going wrong, try to make sure that they assault the leaderboard today, but I have to wonder if they managed to figure out whatever the juju that was bad was yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, sometimes, again, you can just come in cold and you're just not quite reading things correctly. You don't have the best read on the way that the teams are necessarily going to play that day. But TSM has been ultra consistent this year, so certainly we expect them to be a force throughout this event. And yeah, we are going to be heading towards the farm and the Shelter with EF and KDF pretty well centered towards this area in the middle between those two kind of hot spots. You know, there's a lot of area around that. There's some hills and other things that can be playable, but those are going to be very, very valuable real estate as this as this game rolls on potentially.
Look at this. Luna Galaxy just stole this position inside the circle. Nobody's playing down to the southeast right now. TE with that split and the way that they're looking at it can't really do too much more to enforce it. Because the Kraken's kind of seeing if he can buy much more, but he's about to start getting harassed by two different teams. He's going to have to stop off. So here's TSM Sonics. They're both having to rotate. This is part of the death funnel that's going to be happening over in the west. While the circle was comfortable last time, there's just not enough space this time around. Kickstart's going to go for the spray on the Purdy Curdy. Does get the knock on him, but Kickstart's going to go down while he was making the switch for the Panzerfaust. Now a couple of taps going to come up from Shrimzy. Blinds in Tickleton as well. TSM in absolute tatters here.
Yeah, this is just nice stuff from the Sonics. Even though you lose Kick, you're still going to basically force Luke off of this.
And Himas steals them both.
Oh, no, no way. Himas stole them both.
Oh, that's
a little brutal, dude.
That's actually pretty far away.
It is extremely far away.
That is just good vision on the hillside there. As now we're going to see Day Trade and TE bumping into each other. Remember, TE having that very wide split. Delwyn's nowhere even close to this to be able to provide any support right now. He's got to deal with Luna that's going to be too close. Day Trade's trying to encroach back behind us. Do get the knock onto one, but there is a counter knock by Thanadol on the other side of this. So how can we see this approach come out? This is actually isolated. All the other teams are pretty much over in the west right now, so they do have some time to kind of slow the pace back down and get the tempo back in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. You have another minute or so, even longer potentially, since it's just phase 3 blue, not the end of the world. But Delwyn coming in, trying to find a way to get Clories back on his feet. Belmoth trying to make a counter move around the outside to see if he can get something done. Twisted Minds being very diligent on this outer edge. They do have 17 somewhat close, but 17 currently all on foot. I think just waiting this edge out to see if anybody drives down the death road and if they can maybe make a play on that. But that's going to allow Twisted Minds to leapfrog ahead of them. You know, we could have two of our best teams in the world right now squaring off pretty early.
Yeah, and Twisted's positioning on the northern part of Death Road means that it's pretty open over there, as the Day Trade and Expendables firefight still going to be continuing. You can see just 2 members for Day Trade still up. Trying to see if they can get more, but Luna Galaxy playing aggressive, not content inside their compound or creeping up back behind this. They're throwing in some harassing shots. It's going to be Kraken. After getting off the glider, that does find Belmoth. The hunt continues, and Luna Galaxy coming out with gusto. I love to see it.
Me too. This is what we've been seeing throughout this event from Luna Galaxy, where they're finding these moments to third-party fights, and they have been really, really effective. It's why they've been able to get here relatively cleanly. Vinny goes for a little bit of spray over towards Tanvu. Grenade out, but Tanvu, kind of recognizing it, just walks into the gun of Posa. Delwyn able to just barely best Haven. He's very low HP.
Nice little angle to be played from Dolores, though. Never count this man out. We've got a couple of exchanges going on between them. Trees for protection for Luna Galaxy right now, but being shot in the back. No options to work with. Flash trying to put in some more work. Luna Galaxy has lost another member down. They wanted this firefight, but they're not capable of finding the success just quite yet. Finally spots up Flash at the top. At least manages to shoo him away from the position, but this has turned really messy really fast.
Oh, it really has. Day Trade just trying to salvage whatever points they can out of this. Luna would love to get Haven back up and running. Meanwhile, Himas has somehow burned out Shrimzy off screen there outside of the fence line. Looks like Sonics got stalled up, and the res is going to be attempted to be stuck. This is a big important fight right now for Kraken. Delwyn just trying to see what he can do, but good grenade out front to keep him backed off. Didn't get through the fence line or anything like that. Delwyn going to try to make a move, but he's 1 man versus 3 of Luna.
Evans back up, so let's see how they can manage to navigate. 3-man strong, still navigating the top of it. Looking down inside the smokes, see if he can spot. Does manage to pick up the last member of the Expendables there. Flash still playing far enough away that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Meanwhile, the collapse over into the west, getting more complicated. We've got Falcons, Twisted Mind 17, all needing to make a move. Cerberus going to use that as a moment to bypass around this to the south. Going to find a way to maybe keep out the rest of what's going to be going on here. 17 wants nothing to do with it. Looks like they want to try to get out of here, but Navi actually has sightline from farm up on top of what's happening on pretty much Death Mountain here and capable of putting in a ton of work.
Yeah, 17's trying to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to keep pushing into the middle of the circle? Do they maybe want to try to take this fight if it really kicks off? Right now, it seems like they're positioning to third party this fight. And even though the Falcons got that knock on a Perfectix and they would love to knock a Twisted Minds player out of this lobby early, right now, they sense that pressure behind them. They're not going to be able to make that move. There's that long-range fire from Navi you were just talking about, Matt, kind of keeping 17 from really fully committing to anything just yet. Cerberus on the move, losing a player, Diffix.
There's nowhere to go. I mean, it's Eternal Fire on one side, it's Navi on the other. They managed to narrowly make it into a shack, but the casualties just mounted as they were rolling into this. This is exactly what 17's going to have to deal with, but luckily, maybe for 17, this distraction of Cerberus going first might give them enough time to try to find some other way to navigate. navigate this. Yeah, they're going to jump out. They spud out these vehicles, and they said, hey, we can kind of separate out a bit more, see if we can pick up some of this, maybe get some work in. Yeah, it is just Cerberus eating all of the bullets from everybody around.
Yeah, this is not where Cerberus really wanted to end up, but they had no choice. The DMRs were just too clean from Na'Vi, just ripping players out of that vehicle, so they didn't really feel like they could go much further safely. However, Na'Vi still has an edge of the farm for themselves as well to kind of wait this one out, but BB starting to go in that direction. Lou's going to spring into action, taking down Flood with the M249. Perfectix and Batulin's already out, so Twisted Minds 3 kills, but it's going to be pretty difficult for them to get too much further in this game. I mean, you've got T1 up on your north, you've still got the Falcons down below you in 17. This is not going to be a very easy slog to get through.
And this blue zone hurts right now. You still have to try to navigate to step forward, few options. Falcon still has their last member up, wanting to put in some work onto it, so I don't know how you manage to go from here. Cover going to be not very plentiful inside the circle as we've moved into pretty much a no man's land area. It's going to be pretty wide open. Freaks, of course, are in the center of the circle, absolutely feasting on positioning right now. They can put in a ton of work and assert authority on Near on everything around them. They've got Petrichor playing very close to them as well. So all of these teams know they have to fight on the outside. They have to get every single point here because once they have to step into that circle, there's a decent chance that there's just too many angles and they're going to get picked apart going for a tree for cover.
Absolutely. My eyes are kind of towards T1 and Luna right now over on the eastern edge. You know, Luna took a huge spread after they were able to wipe out TE, able to cover a lot of ground. Flash still has a role to play in this. He's still alive. Twisted Minds able to buy a lot of time, and a good grenade from Example gets the knock onto Snakers. Falcons trying to play gatekeep, and they're just going to get knocked out by Example and Lou from the blue. I mean, Lou is going to go down, but Example, I mean, I don't care if he's one man. He is the best fragger in the world right now. He can definitely still do damage.
Problem with it is he's got all of Eternal Fire in a compound waiting for him as they come down. So see if maybe 17 Gaming or somebody else can maneuver around this position. See, Na'Vi, they've had a lot of control over here, specifically in the west and what they've been monitoring. Just to the southeast of them is going to be BB team. So that's where we can see a couple of shots going over in their direction. BB has yet to manage to make it inside the circle, but this is going to be a bit more complicated. Once they crest the top of that hillside, it's going to be pretty bad. 17 Gaming is now going to get eliminated. Luna Galaxy is going to be bumping into T1 over into the east. There's just no options. You have to fight for whatever you can get right now, and it's pretty problematic. Teams that are got cover, they're having to defend it from long-range firefights. Absolutely, and this is a pretty favorable situation for T1. They can play for trades here. Raining's got to be careful, taking a lot of damage as he's trying to get towards this shack. It is going to be Kraken who gets EN, though. A good grenade from EN, though, was able to do a little bit of damage down to half. So Luna, 2 players, but that is where T1 is at as well. Just able to get that res up onto Type. So he's back up and running, got the first aid going. So numbers advantage again for T1. Can they really take down Luna and still Flash, by the way, lurking in the blue? I just love seeing Luna Galaxy being so proactive still, and it's going to be a good lineup coming up from Vinny, managing to absolutely put work into T1 as they were trying to make Crest across that side. Now then, does he go for the flush? He's got to be careful. Explosion right up in front of him. Vinny's still holding the lineup on this one. Keep in mind, there is a day trade member back behind this one. They've got to be cautious. T1 gets eliminated. The cost, though, is massive, as it is also going to take down Luna Galaxy, who are presently in first place. Not going to stay there, but, yep, already going to get shifted over. It's going to be Na'Vi that takes it over, but a good performance at the start. Yeah, absolutely, but mutually assured destruction there. So Luna, even in the numbers disadvantage, doing well. The grenades are very accurate for Na'Vi. They've got a couple different players. Make it 3. Saucidid going to take down Spiro. That vehicle almost takes out the last player alive there for BB. And Hakatori just trying to find that angle. Going to use his last stun to make his way up the hill. He's got him out in the open, and he's got him down. Na'Vi sitting at 11 kills right now. Absolutely in control of the circle for so long, but now they have to move into the territory that the Freaks have had on lockdown. Freaks haven't been able to pick up a ton of kills right now because all the fighting's been going on outskirts of the circle. They've had vision on, they've been able to get in some damage, but they haven't been the core component. Now everything moves into their backyard. They get to start making sure that they wreck every single person that's going to be around them. With the coupling of Petrichor Road very close, no other team inside the circle yet, and nobody wants to go in there just yet. Oh no, this is going to be a lot of teams out towards these edges fighting for kills and seeing if they can make a go of anything else. It's going to be very difficult for anybody to do anything about the Freaks, except maybe EF if they're still 4 strong. We've seen good compound crashes from them throughout the year. Think back to PGS5 when they crashed New Happy here on Erangel and wiped them out. But Na'Vi starting to fall underneath this high ground. Really nice angles for Eternal Fire to spray down into. I mean, Saucidid just trying to do what he can to dodge anything with these smokes, and
when those run out, it is going to be very, very difficult. Example, trying to use this opportunity. Nah.
Yeah, there's just nothing to do there.
No.
I mean, I like mean circles, but this one is just cruel. There is no cover. Teams are just having to lean into their firefighting. That's all they can do at this stage. Eternal Fire's got some high ground positioning that they can play around. Also, we've got, I believe it's the Freaks and Petrichor Road taking shots at Navi while they're just trying to get their feet back underneath of them, and they just can't find a way to do it. There's too many people up ahead of them. Instead, they're just going, maybe we can go for a couple of shots in. They're going to go ahead and go down. Eternal Fire, they now have to move into a pretty much open area where it's just going to be the exact same kill box. We've got 3 teams alive, all of them with 4 members up, but Eternal Fire with the only one without hard cover.
Absolutely, and for Eternal Fire, you do have actually an opportunity here because there's a decent chance that Petrichor Road and the Kwangdong Freaks are going to have to fight at some point. We still have quite a bit of this game to go. Yeah, you read my mind, man. It's phase 6, so likely Petrichor Road is going to be removed from the next circle, and they have to make a decision. Do they try to drive and skirt around the outside of KDF while KDF is probably going to be able to take some parting shots on them? Do they try to crash this? If they could find one knock, if Chewy can get a knock here with the Dragonov onto a KDF member, definitely could be a go signal for them, but instead, it's kind of setting up these smokes. Looks like they're going to try to make a southern rotation, maybe set up on the hills that are at the other end of this circle or something like that, and really just trying to cut off as much of KDF's shots that are going to come their way during this rotation as they can. They still have a little bit of this ridge on this hill that they can hide with. Really nice place smokes there for Aches left.
Ooh, I like
see
this
what happens.
Fire. Look at this.
Yeah.
They shifted all the way down.
This is the spot I thought Petrichor Road was thinking about.
Over into it, yeah, with the amount of positioning that they've got. They tried to deny out, hoping that the circle would go back over there, but nope. It pops back over into the north, and that's just going to make it more complicated. Where do you even go? I mean, Petrichor Road was even thinking about making a similar rotation, and now they're just trapped. It's a firefight between the two of them while the Freaks just get a watch.
It's a brilliant move from EF. They basically took one of the stronger positions that Petrichor Road might have been able to take away from them and even got a really good sight line onto them to at least block them. Now, the shooting here from Chewy is still a bit of a problem for EF, but they've been able to spread out. Meanwhile, the Freaks are just going to just kind of play turret from these houses, just try to do whatever damage they can, hope they can maybe sneak in a kill here or there. It's really going to come down to what Petrichor Road and EF are doing on the outside.
And Petrichor Road is the closest team to the Freaks, so they have the greatest opportunity to assault. But that means that Eternal Fire could use that opportunity. It's kind of a waiting game. Eternal Fire wants Petrichor Road to make the push and then just try to third party and come into it. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road knows the fact that Eternal Fire is further out. They're going to have to make a move first, and is just trying to wait that out. Freaks are just the beneficiary of positioning right now and absolutely thriving off of Eternal Fire, though presently sitting in first on the leaderboard, wants to try to get some more. Looks like Petrichor Road trying to prep up something. They've got vehicles ready to go. They're going to cut back around. Blue Zone's going to hurt just a bit. It looks like they're going to be leaning into the northern territories. They're going to go ahead and make the push down. There are 2 members of the Freaks already prepped up and ready to go. Jump out, and Petrichor Road does not lose one in the approach. Finally has one of their members go down. Can they continue the assault? The rest of the Freaks trying to see if they can retaliate back. Meanwhile, it is going to be Eternal Fire. They have 2 members hopping a vehicle. They're crashing the southern side.
This is a really nice opportunity for EF to potentially do some damage. The grenade there goes right in, and it gets bean. Well cooked, well placed by Ming. Somewhere on the outside trying to get their superstar Aches left back up and running. Yumin using that vehicle to block that door, trying to hold the line, going to throw a smoke out as well. Give him a little bit of extra cover if anybody were to try to come from that garage door entrance. Summer putting some pressure down EF and Petrichor Road. This is an absolute mess, Matt.
You can see Summer wants to get this red on Aches so bad, but just cannot find the angle for it. It's going to be Sloop managed to take him down. Ming tries to go for play his own. He's going to go down. Summer now the last one up. Eternal Fire using the opportunity. They've managed to take a chokehold around the outside of this. They haven't really jumped in full committal just yet. It's just going to be Rern, the only one down time being. But 3 members up, still navigating through this, but is also giving time for the Freaks to get their feet back underneath of them. 4 members up for Eternal Fire, 2 for KDF, and Petrichor Road has 1 up at the time being, with Mean still being down, but he wants to get this res. Summer has been trying to res everybody for so long. Can he at least get one of them?
It's going to be very, very difficult. The pressure is going to be very immense from EF, from that southern compound. They want to try to finish the job, try to box these teams in, but we've seen that the Freaks can fight out of these situations. They've done it before in this event. Let's see if Salute has another miracle in store. Him and Gumin have been electric for the Freaks in these late game scenarios here at PGC. Still, finally, that res that you wanted to see does come through. Ming up and running, gets the first aid off. Boosts are going to be popped, but things are slowing down momentarily. However, this garage house is out of the next circle. Phase 8 has shown itself, and They will be just on the outside. It looks like maybe like a smidge of the building is in.
But Eternal Fire controls everything else. They just get to wait. This was beautifully played on the timing for them. Still have all their members up, in control of tons of positioning right now. Can they make sure to exploit it? Petrichor Road stacked on top of each other along with the Freaks. But you've mentioned it. The Freaks have been playing out of their mind so far this week. Can they make the magic happen one more time? Find a way to make something in a very difficult situation. I like the peek around that window. That's a sneaky angle to play from. Petrichor Road realizes, okay, I don't want to assault up in that. Instead, are they just trying to block off that pathing? Looks like that might be what they're trying to do. Move the vehicle back just a bit more to buy a bit more safety for themselves. Petrichor Road realizing the threat is not yet Eternal Fire. They have to deal with this, but Quetpa is waiting so patiently for this firefight to end, see if anybody from Eternal Fire can make a play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Eternal Fire can wait this out now. They've got the circle, they've got the safety. A few more stuns to work with. You mean just trying to buy a little bit of extra time. Summer, though, knows where that likely came from. Is going to let loose with a few mollies. Has to start pushing. The blue is right on his back. He goes to clear the balcony. Nobody there. Salute trying to be sneaky. Summer doesn't spot him in time.
Just runs out, guns blazing, gets the drop on one of them. Freaks do have Salute finally go down, but it's going to be Eternal Fire making the presence known, walking in. Ming back up against the wall right now. Human as well. We are going to see Quetpa does manage to find out. Finish that one off. Now just one Code Marco on the hunt, seeing if he can spot out, but he's going to go down to blue. That's going to be an easy pickup for Human, managing to find at least one more point. This is turning into a med bell, but no! Going to go down in the end of it. Eternal Fire with a beautiful rotation gets the first game.
This is so well read by EF in this late game. The way that they cut off Petrichor Road's escape route from their position up on the north, the way that they then waited for their opportunity, forced Petrichor Road into a situation where they had no choice but to try to crash the Freaks, and then use that to gain control of those southern compounds on that hill and win the game from there.
That was just a very good set of heady plays coming out from Eternal Fire that all bought off of good control off of positioning as those circles managed to condense down around the west. So very, very well played, as this was a messy game, just given how the lack of cover hit around Circle 5. Everybody just had to go for finding any kills that they could get. But let's go ahead and get everything set for game number 2.
It's a tough game in a very familiar compound, and it will be Eternal Fire who reads it well and is able to push and pin their opponents up against the wall here to be able to take the first victory in our circuit day 3. Martin joining me here to talk about this. Eternal Fire very well reading the situation.
Yeah, the perfect time for a third-party opportunity, and it's especially here, if you strike at the right time, you take every single advantage as you can here. And also, how the circle, especially 8th circle, worked out, it was to the side that they crashed towards, right? So they're holding the perfect angles no matter what. If it came down to later stages of the game, the circle would have pushed them out eventually, right? So it was actually extremely well executed here for Eternal Fire. And yeah, they did pretty well so far in obviously circuit 7th and 4th place, and now here starting this day with a win like that and that amount of kills, potentially just putting in a good amount of points already towards those circuit finals.
Yep, very nicely done, very nicely done. There was a moment, though, during this game where we thought to ourselves, maybe it was going to be 7 in 13, Martin, because Guangdong Freaks got to this compound very early, and all of a sudden the circles kept coming their way. It's like it's destiny almost.
It's a magnet right there. No, yeah, it was close, and I bet you a lot of the guys watching there from afar and at home, they were like, not again. It can't continue like this.
It was terrifying, of course, as we had Petrichor Road pushing up against it eventually.
And they had to.
Yes.
Like they were this is the only play they could do.
Yeah.
They could do nothing else. And that's the only play for the win for them, right? And yeah, then obviously all the utility comes out from Freaks, and they're kind of the oppressors are coming in, and you have to go out and just execute them.
Yeah, maybe trying to get something going eventually, but then as the Blues pressing up against you, Summer, for example, moving up the stairs, utilizing all the utility.
Right.
Eventually getting gunned down by Salute through that smoke on the balcony. So didn't quite go Petrichor Road's way, but again, early days for this one, as we do have Eternal Fire setting the pace to get things a-rolling. And again, it was very well executed by Eternal Fire to get it done overall. But this is the thing, right? In that area, when you've got compounds like that, it's basically a fortress unless you have people rocking up at exactly the times that they did.
Exactly. That road, splitting everything up, it's basically like a huge cannon, right? It's so hard to cross, and everyone's going to be focused on it when the circle kind of comes that way. And yeah, we were sitting there, don't go north, don't go north. At least I was, don't go north, go somewhere else where it's kind of fair for everyone. But yeah, it ended up being Eternal Fire, and actually really happy for that outcome for multiple kind of reasons, because still, if we see another chance where we have Freaks go out and go as insane as we've seen them in Circuit Day 1 and 2, they're going to be unstoppable. And this was kind of to put a little bit of a damp on that.
It would have been concerning, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the top 4 teams coming in from this one. Eternal Fire gets themselves 6, so it's not that huge, but elsewhere, EMEA was also popping off. Na'Vi, 11 kills go their way. We saw a lot of fighting from their position.
27 smokes to make sure that they could hold that and make sure they get as many kills as possible. And as I said, the potential second place I talked about now. Here they are in the second most points for this game, James.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I will say a far cry from our PGS 6 situation for them, because this was, when they're able to get rolling in the team fight, they are deadly. And it felt like at PGS 6, there was just no opportunity for them to really get rolling.
But that's, let's give it so that Navi's PGS 6 is Twisted Mind's EWC.
Sure, I mean, well, comparing them 1-to-1 is a little difficult. But yeah, it was kind of a write-off, right?
It is.
Definitely.
You have one write-off per year. That was that one write-off.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's fine.
That's fine. That's fair.
All the best teams have one
best team in the world have one write-off per year.
Yeah. We have Corner.
As long as it's not PG.
Yeah, if it's that, then maybe it's brutal. But anyway, 7 kills go the way of Kwangdong Freaks from their position as well. They continue to look strong, but it will be Quep up to number 1 here when it comes to Eternal Fire overall. And it's interesting because actually, of all the names, it's not usually Quep that gets to shine, but he was able to certainly in this game.
Yeah, so close in the damage here as well for all of them, all within 50 or so damage, 53 damage, pretty, or well, 43 damage actually, pretty impressive. But still, Ruin being the tank and Quetpa being the damage dealer, only 94 damage, only the first aid and a little bit of a boost needed for Quetpa. Ruin just had to pop first aids back to back to make sure he was surviving.
I think one thing's for sure when it comes to Eternal Fire, as we will eventually crown Quetpa that man of the match, they are the final evolution of the Turkish region when it comes to the teams that we have gone through for a long time. We've watched them vastly when it comes to EMEA as a whole. We have watched the Turkish region go from having very campy styles to just kind of laying low and waiting and hoping that the game's going to come to them, to then intricately interweaving people like Code Marco.
Right.
Big gun power, big gun potential, and Eternal Fire is that final evolution of Turkish PUBG.
Yeah, I really like the kind of situation that the team is in. Also, Ruin has been such a standout player, right, throughout some time now. And yeah, for them having 16 points is huge for them. But for Eternal Fire as a team, I feel like still their style, it will fit pretty well into how kind of the situation is for PGC, because they are going to be getting in there, they're going to be getting points. But for me to for them to transcend, to get into that potential top 8 or top 4, they need to have these situations where they're also getting a lot of these kills. Like, we need to see them double digits more often, because see here, they are executing it super good. They are playing extremely well. They're making sure there are 4 guys alive.
They know their timings.
They know their timings. They know how to play the circles. They know how to kind of get into the edge situations where they're still staying 4 guys alive. But you need to have those banger games with double-digit kills and wins with those as well to be able to take a championship home.
So you're saying like a Na'Vi does here, despite not getting themselves far in the placements. I mean, 3's okay, but you mean like having an 11-kill game like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. To be able to keep your kind of averages up as a whole. But already, as we mentioned, when it comes to all the points gained throughout today, as well as day 3 of Circuit 2, as well as day 3 of Circuit 3, these points will all accumulate and count towards qualifying to the top 16 for the PGC Grand Final. So for those teams that are able to get double digits in this first game, fantastic start. foot on the pedal. Let's keep that momentum driving forwards as we get our little issues sorted before we get into game number 2.
Right, and I have a question for you.
From me?
Yeah, because obviously this is a two-man desk. You're not just hosting, you're also analyzing a little bit, right? So out of the 16 teams we're going to be seeing in the final,
yes,
how many of those teams are going to be in every circuit final?
Ooh, probably something high, like 13 or something like that. 12, 13, maybe even 14.
I think 13, 14 maybe even.
Yeah.
I think 13 is very good estimation, and that's obviously interesting, right? Which would leave, 1, 2, maybe 3 spots.
Yes.
So the teams that are not, the 8 teams that are sitting at home today, right? They would then have to go out, obviously go through the grinder of circuit day 1 and 2, and then get to the circuit final, but also get quite a high amount of points. We're talking top 10-ish in both circuit finals to actually be able to garner enough points to get into the finals.
That said, all right, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
If you think about PGS 5 and PGS 6, we had a rotation of a significant number of teams going into the eventual finals. Right? So that is quite an interesting notion that internationally right now, we're actually, as much as you've got a Twisted Minds, which is kind of transcended and is kind of this angel status right now. We are elsewhere. Maybe we are closer than we have ever been before when it comes to skill across the board. And the cool thing about it is that we always have different regional champions almost every single time, apart from in the Twisted era, you know what I mean? So maybe there is more rotation between into the circuit finals than we expect.
So I think for PGS 5 and 6, a little bit of a special case because you still had a lot of teams that were already qualified to PGC, right? So I don't think their mental state or their goal or, they could mentally they could easily say, we'll shrug that off because we're going PGC
it's okay,
anyway.
We're done.
Yeah. So I think that mentality is, they didn't have to win, and they were like, it's only, these guys made a lot of money, but it's only $100,000 shared between, 5 parts, which would only come down to maybe $20,000 for a team, right? And a player's like, okay, it doesn't matter. There's 1.5 million plus waiting for us at PGC, or we were just at Esports World Cup, which was $2 million.
That's a lot of money.
So yeah, exactly. So I think that mentality and that kind of, and I think it's a detriment. I think it's complacent.
Oh sure, never let your foot off the pedal.
You have to go full send, and the twisted mindset is the best way you can be there.
Twisted mindset?
Yeah, I mean,
is that what you just did?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Continue.
You didn't like that?
No, that was brilliant.
Oh,
keep going.
okay.
The twisted mindset. Go on.
Okay, thanks. Well, yeah, I think you have to have that, and that mentality and fortitude. You have to have that until you reach your ultimate goal, and you can definitely tell Batulin's ultimate goal is PGC. And, I mean, have we seen it from him yet? Is he going to retire? If they win, is he going to retire?
Well, no,
he's young. He's 24.
In the interview that I did with him at EWC that didn't air because they got knocked out, he told me the one PGC is not enough. They want 2 PGCs because they know that nobody has been able to do that in terms of.
But when Example then wins the second, is he then going to quit? Because then they go.
Example's not quit.
They have to then go out and find another guy.
Example was born to play this game. There's no way he's quitting.
He's a born gamer.
All right. Well, we are just a few moments out before we get into game number 2. Thank you very much for your patience here. You have been listening to the Galaris and Avenger podcast.
Nice.
As we are ready for the grassy pastures once again. As Twisted Minds didn't get too much done in that one, but they were able to salvage a few kills on the side. However, it was Eternal Fire starting strong. Let's see what happens in game number 2 here of Circuit 1, Day 3.
Thanks so much, guys, giving us a breakdown, all kinds of fun stuff. And yes, I do like that twisted mindset. That's pretty solid. Hey, did you like that last plane path? Good, because now we just get the same thing in reverse.
It is almost exactly the same. I'm actually pretty curious what the Sonics are going to do this time. I think they might go Fairy Pier because Petrichor Road opted to go Severny, and there is that space available. Something the Sonics were worried about today was that there might be some fighting over the Gatka area because of the Expendables, but these 2 plane paths haven't been anywhere near Gatka. So indeed, Sonics are going to be dropping a little bit later this time to try to find a way to get over to a slightly different loot location. Of course, TSM going to be west on Sosnovka Island. You do have Luna, who's military base. T1 is not going to their alt drop because Yasnaya is right in the mix. Everything else is going to, you would think, look relatively similar to what we saw before.
Eternal Fire is a squad I had high hopes for going into the last PCS, right? And they have a lot of upside to them, so it was great to see them really exploit that and show their capabilities inside the last game. I just want to see them now use and exploit this points that they managed to get and really start trying to charge up this leaderboard, because we saw the fact that they played clean. Hey, you wanted Stalber.
I did.
I wanted Stalber. Maybe we will get a Stalber. Hey, you know, I'm not greedy. I'll take Yasnaya too.
Yeah. Look, anything that's not in that same vicinity as our last circle is totally fine with me. So yeah, day trade, got to be feeling a little bit more comfortable this game. TE as well, going to be up there by Kameshki. So some of our teams that you can also look at from their perspective. A lot of our heavy hitters in there. 17 Pero, Cerberus, Twisted Minds, Kwangdong Freaks, who've been incredible. So a lot of good options today. You could be really feasting on some of those team camps.
So I know that there was a little bit of circle love in that last game for the Freaks, but that said, they do feel like they're carrying in that momentum. That firefight and the way that it was going on, the way they managed to hold out for so long, that was very well played. So it feels like they're really on a come up of their own.
They made about the best of the bad situation that they could. And again, all the credit has to go to EF with the way that they maneuver themselves, the way they position themselves. They set that late game up for themselves. I mean,
they
that was
forced
brilliant.
Petricor's hand. They made that happen.
Exactly. It was brilliant. So beyond that, the Freaks did what they needed to do in that situation, right? Like, you have the compound, you have to stay there. But we have an interview with Aches left. Let's hear what the star for Petricor Rhodes has to say.
我们就是这种事情经常经历了，有很多进不去，也有很多压轴进去的，所以说我们的心态会比较放松吧，然后就效果也比较好。前几把确实就是打得有点太紧了，而且有一点没适应环境吧，我觉得可能有这些因素。战术也不会有特别大方面的调整吧，还是打自己的风格。肯定是想以放松的心态去打后面的比赛，但是到了比赛上也说不好吧，就是随遇而安吧，不是随机应变吧。
And that's what you hear so many of the players say, right? Is, okay, we've just got to make sure that we keep the mental up and we're going to play the system the way that we want to play it. Sometimes it always doesn't work. Sometimes there are problems with it. But if you just start like trying to overall analyze everything and really dig into the minutia, suddenly you're like triple thinking yourself, and then you're just getting mad and everybody's arguing. Sometimes you just got to take a step, breathe, and go, okay, that didn't work. We'll figure that out in a second. Instead, let's just go ahead and try again, figure out how we can manage to make this happen. And I love the fact that it's such a prevalent mindset among all of the players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the right one you have to have in PUBG. Things are so chaotic. You have to be able to adapt quickly. So there's two immediate thoughts that come to my mind with that. First of all, Aches left, probably one of the best in the world when it comes to situations like that. I mean, we see him when he hits that zone. You can just tell he moves differently. He's faster. Yeah. He's reacting quicker to things. He's just making better decisions. And all of a sudden he's knocking 2-3 players down in the snap of a finger. And you're just like, how did he do that? I wish my keyboard and mouse worked like that, because he just feels like he's on another level in those moments.
It's just funny because I'm having flashbacks to PGCs where we have seen, I don't know, practice rooms and Sonics and, I don't know, interacting before.
Trimsy.
So funny that we kind of put those back to back there. But
something Trimsies.
Yeah. Well, actually, just one something is all you really need to say there. All right, so we do have a Twisted Minds looking like they're making rotation into Yasnaya, where T1's already got a bit of a foothold and position on. Everybody else is just kind of playing along the Stalber hillside so far. Not as much of an early rotation this time around, as teams don't want to really navigate the hillside around Stalber yet unless they have to. This is one of those games where maybe rotating a bit later and trying to find an emergency pickup might not be the worst idea.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, because the river, even though it doesn't like really get too deep into this circle, actually plays quite a bit into how the circles are likely going to kind of play out as this goes on. So the Yaz Lake is kind of a dividing line here. So if it's going to go, it could go north. I mean, it can, of course, just end in between Stalber and Yasnaya. That happens. But sometimes you'll see these like kind of double hard shift, triple hard shift. And you got to be ready for that as well. So I would be all about an emergency pickup if I'm one of the teams that's on Sosnovka Island or something like that, or if I'm the Sonics that was pretty far out. If you can find one, definitely going to be a useful tool. Cerberus going to be very late this time, not going to be dead center to start the game. So Gonna have to make a move, figure out what they want to do.
One of the things we hear a lot of the players talk about is the use of emergency pickups for assaulting places like Stolber, because it allows you to bypass the verticality and really having to navigate the maze of the hillside, making your way up. You can just kind of drop in, and yes, you can get shot to pieces on your way down, but it also does give you a chance to bypass getting shot to pieces driving through 3 squads to try to get to that same position. So whenever we see verticality come into play, I often want to see who's trying to track on that and who's going to try to lean into that. I do like the positioning that we see coming out from a lot of these squads pretty early, most notably, yes, Twisted getting into a strong point early, feeling like this might go Yaznaya. This is actually a very early commitment into a city for them.
If this goes south, Twisted is going to be in a very, very good spot. Even if it goes north, they're not in a bad spot because they've kind of divided Yaz down the middle. You can see it. This is a great angle to take a look at what Twisted is doing. They've given themselves exits from the north and the south. I mean, the only real issue they have is if some other team just randomly kind of drives into this or emergency pickups into it, something like that.
Like 17.
Well, you know, 17 is considering it. Lou is in a potentially dangerous position. We'll have to see. The Freaks have decided to move up and around the outer edge of Stolber. Oh, Hisaki. Hisaki. This is so dangerous. Oh my gosh, he should go down. Those leaves are right in the way. He gets in the vehicle.
What?
One more shot, James.
What?
There
There we go. The Juggernaut finally manages to hit it at the end. And Gustav's going to come through, sweep it out, boop, take him down, pick up that point, easy peasy. Now then, Cerberus is kind of the odd team out in this situation, as they just lost that member, but they're also not really in the circle like everybody else is. Everybody else is kind of leaning way more into the Stolber, the Yaznaya. They're way down to the south, still around Shelter.
Yeah, that is way outside of the circle. So that's kind of a scouting mistake there by Hisaki. You know, he is the IGL for Cerberus, so looking to try to find some space and got caught in a very, very awkward position where he is very exposed. So the players at this level are rarely going to let you get out of that situation, and Hisaki absolutely falling victim to that. And you do have Mini Oz under control by Petrichor Road. There was a player from the Kwangdong Freaks here earlier. I saw just a single player.
Mini Oz? Not no lean?
No lean?
Yeah, remember there was the bug at the start where you couldn't lean there?
Oh, I forgot about that. I guess you could call it that too. I don't know. Everybody has different names for stuff.
Yeah, no. I would just whenever you mention different stuff.
What's a Sky Garden?
Where's a Sky Garden at? I don't know. Sky Garden sounds pretty. Okay, let's see. Luna Galaxy making use of gliders yet again, making their rotation. I do like the fact that we're seeing well, I don't like the fact that 17's in trouble making these rotations away from Petrichor Road as well as Twisted, but I like the fact that they're being pretty aggressive in their rotate in. So a lot of these teams are really feeling like that area you were talking about, maybe just north of Yaznaya, could be a finish point and really jockeying for position around that. So Eternal Fire, our squad from last time, managed to walk away with a ton of points, being a bit slower in their progression here, not necessarily having to make as much of a gamble, but it's safe for the time being.
For sure. And I'm not seeing anything yet that leads me to believe there'll be too much more fighting. Speaking of emergency pickups, though, I am seeing one being popped by Cerberus. Really unfortunate that you lose Hisaki then, because maybe if you have all 4 in there and this hard shifts north towards Kameshki, you can drop in there and kind of make a go up the hill. But Sonics are going to be coming in very late once again, kind of trying to find a different path this game to see if they can find a little bit more success. Got kind of tangled up with TSM. Didn't even get the kills out of it, thanks to some nifty long-range shooting by Himas. And things for TSM looking pretty hunky-dory themselves, just to the west of Stolber, chilling in a 2-2 split. And there is that emergency pickup. Cerberus, where is this going to take you? It's mostly dependent on the circle. Wow, we're just going to center up.
All right, well, that gamble for 17, where they were trying to navigate in, puts them pretty much center, and they're feeling pretty good. Looks like we might also get a part 2 of that Sonics TSM skirmish, as the TSM position in Badlands, it's good for now, but it's probably not going to be the best. We also do have a lot of Eastern wraps coming into play, where Na'Vi is going to be defended up as well as Eternal Fire. Falcon's already just trying to crest in. Looks like they do not want to make the commitment in, while Cerberus is airborne. Keep an eye on Luna Galaxy, also trying to make a path and back behind this. They should be able to just regroup. Nothing too terribly scary for them just quite yet. The big X factor is where is Cerberus going to choose to cut that rope at?
Tough call for Cerberus. There isn't really much available, to be honest. There is some, like, empty space. There is kind of the southeast corner of Stolber. There's the compounds that are like northeast.
I like that compound that Tanvu's in. Are they going to make the commitment into that? There's the road over there as well, so it looks like they might be thinking that angle.
No matter what, you have to gamble a little bit here as Cerberus. This circle was about as bad as it got for that emergency pickup, to be honest. And yeah, they are getting lit up as they try to go down, and quite a bit of damage done. Salalzi just gone.
Just gets dropped. Good spray coming out from Neurons, man. People are getting so much better about shooting people on those emergency pickups.
Absolutely. It's just going to take the players time to kind of get used to the bullet lag, right? Like, because PUBG, the bullets are actual objects, so they do have travel time, and getting used to that.
Oh, it's Kraken. This is bad. That's bad. There is nowhere to go. Yep, he's just donezo. There's a counter back onto it as Gustav is going to go down, but Luna Galaxy, you kind of scouted this out. Early aggression for Luna Galaxy has been mixed as far as success so far, but it looks like they should be able to get this Kraken back up. Well, I don't know. FaZe looks like they're regrouping back in.
I think FaZe kind of wants to take something of a fight, or at least barricade Luna as best as they can. You know, you're not really able to find any of those shots onto Fex and Corexi on their way in, but Jeem's going to get taken down by Posa. That's big. Fex trying to respond with some grenades of his own. Has great angles onto Haven there. A headshot and a body shot knocks him down.
But we've got Type all the way over there in the courthouse taking shots into this firefight. So if you see a bullet straight here or there, Fex trying to continue that work in. He spotted out, then he got in some damage so far. Nate is going to be prepped. Looks like the angle's good for pretty good. Support angle coming up back behind him. So this is a very confident Fex. I love to see it. Corexi and him just doing a 1-2 punch the whole way through. Should be able to pick up Vinny as well. This was a nice counter move back into this firefight.
Yeah, this was all on Fex. He was the difference maker here. Just found really clean shots really quickly, and that's opened up a door for him and Corexi to try to finish off this fight. You do have BB, though, circling this. They're going to steal Haven.
Trying to squeeze their way into this one. They're at least going to try to contain. So let's see how this is going to go. Fex still wanting to try to get a bit more out of this, but Posa is firmly defended. We know if there's one member up in Luna and it's Posa, this guy can be sneaky and find a way to just backstab you when you're least expecting it. Even if you're hunting him and you know he's there, he's just like, he just disappears, man. I don't know how he does it, but he can just elude everybody unless it's a third party.
Yeah, this is the problem, is there's a lot of open angles towards the north of this position. So, you know, for Posa, as great as he was at PGS6, man, the way that he was able to salvage so many points for Luna, it is very tricky in this particular scenario. Just there isn't a lot of cover to work with. This is a great opening towards Yaz for the Sonics. There's already a pickup for the Kwangdong Freaks from Stalbert. I suspect they're just going to try to make a go of it maybe somewhere in Yaz. Maybe they go to the Blues that are on the southern end of Yaz. In the Yaz fields. Kind of curious about the Freaks.
I mean, you could jump center, assuming that it's not too defended just quite yet. Eternal Fire also inside of a vehicle, making a wrap of their own over into the east of this one. Sonics look like you should be able to bypass pretty much into the south to get that one for free. Here comes the shots coming out. T1 does get some damage out, but just the firm commitment right now is paying off for the Freaks. They are going to get themselves a pretty centered position. This very wide split coming up from T1, where they were trying to defend everything, means they can defend nothing.
Yeah, this is... If this goes more south, the Sonics are in a phenomenal spot, and the Freaks are going to be in a okay spot potentially to pick up some kills if it keeps going south. We'll just maybe see where the next couple of circles go. Petrichor Road bailing out of this compound as TSM has arrived, but Chewy still going to pay the price, even though Summer was able to respond with the knock onto Luke. Luke had already gotten the shots off. Nalo going to claim that point for TSM. Luke, I assume, should be resable here. And Petrichor Road just going to have to play with 3 for now.
Okay, so while this was going on, 17 Gaming also made the commitment into Yasnaya. We have Twisted actually stepped out more along the lake line, still defending into that. So they've got a lot of vision on what's going on with Petrichor Road, going to try to shut them down. Luna doing a long rotation, trying to follow up back behind FaZe, but it's going to be Na'Vi. It's going to be the bigger problem for them as BB still doing gatekeeping as well. Over into the east, the Expendables and Falcons getting pretty close to each other as TSM is just continuing to corral Petrichor Road further and further up that hillside. But Cerberus also kind of creeping in from the north, looking down into Daytrade's defendable position in those warehouses.
Absolutely. For me, I think one of the most interesting things going on right now is Navi's wide wrap into the blue, trying to find some space to work from the fields. See if they can maybe get over to the western edge or something. There is a bit of a hill that runs down the middle of those Yaz fields that you can use as a little bit of cover from some of the other teams in that area. As we look over towards Lou, getting some good damage done. This is a replay, of course. 17 was trying to make their way through, but just was really well covered by Twisted Minds, and that's given them complete control over the western side. Gives them an escape valve if this circle hard shifts north or south or even east, away out of Yasnaya, whereas a lot of other teams are dug in.
The amount of times that 17 bumped into a squad on their approach into Yasnaya and only ended up losing those at the very tail end of it is a nigh miracle in and of itself. Falcons kind of caught up in the skirmish right now with the Expendables, who are running a 3-1 with Delwyn finding success as the one against Aurelio. It's a knock on to him, so it's going to be a quick flush. The other members now having to contend in. Eternal Fire also gets some vision in this firefight, as well as Flash from Day Trade, so they're kind of forcing this, making the heavy hand and making it to where the Expendables are being a lot more aggressive in this than I think the Expendables really want to be at this stage. They're having to collapse in on the Falcons and being a bit hesitant of, oh! That shift is pretty much all fields, and that means no cover except for Yasnaya.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a good fight for the Expendables. The Falcons just trying to play defense. To make matters worse, Snakers only had a bolt, so the loot definitely not what you're looking for the Falcons. And the Expendables are doing a phenomenal job dissecting them. Roth trying to prone it out behind the hill, but his position is known. Snakers known too, going to try to get out of there with a motorcycle, and Delwyn was already in position to cut him off. So smart here by the Expendables.
Playing that side flank so clean right now. Delwyn is just absolutely picking apart the Falcons piece by piece. Petrichor Road's going to be rolling up a pretty similar path back behind this one. Doesn't look like they want to get involved in the firefight as they're going to hear it. Oh, there's the nade. Delwyn's, of course, is going to be the one to finish it off. Here comes Petrichor Road after hearing that. Going to go ahead and make the stop off on that house. Pretty close to the center of the circle. Pretty good positioning, all considered. Twisted Minds making a rotation back behind this, as well as TSM. Looks like TSM might be trying to go for that same compound that Petrichor Road did, but spotted out the fact that somebody's already going to be over there. So instead, they've got to make the commitment right over here into this dip. It's pretty good for now, but it does have the downside that Day Trade's got some vision into it.
Now, Twisted Minds was trying to make a move. Day Trade kind of barreling down on top of them from the compounds. The warehouse is up on the hill. Nurin's already in position. We saw him take a player of Cerberus out of the air. The other players from Day Trade are busy keeping them at bay. Twisted Minds having to expend a lot of smokes early here to try to get this res going. Meanwhile, TSM, this is a bit of a dangerous position because there is so many buildings left in Yaz that have angles, that have grenades into this spot that they have taken. And Alo trying to crawl over to Sparking.
Eternal Fire's positioning right now in the circle gives him so much vision and so much control over everything. Yet again, exploiting it. Same plays as last time, forcing teams into each other, corralling them together. This is so well played for now. As long as the circle keeps this compound in play, they're going to have a ton of influence over all the rest that's going to be happening. Meanwhile, FaZe does manage to regroup right on the outskirts of Yasnaya in and of itself. Update on our boy Poza. He's still alive as well, sneaking into the circle.
My goat.
That's what he does, man. If there was like more points in fantasy for survival, this guy would be king.
I definitely think we should start giving points for survival time. Then Poza's a top pick for sure.
Survival time as a solo.
That's right. He has been absolutely just so good in those scenarios. One of those players that just seems to have a knack for those kind of moments. Meanwhile, BB just going to be taking a look at what's going on around them, trying to control that eastern edge of Yasnaya as best as they can. Day Trade still has a little bit of these rocks to work with. Cerberus still kicking with one player up somewhere out there deep in the blue, but Duckmai, you can see him, not a lot that he can really hope to do. Purdy Curdy is going to get knocked, so TSM had to find something that was available in this circle because there wasn't much.
They're just hoping they can weather the storm. The circle moves this way, and Day Trade finally has to leave. Once Day Trade leaves, it's not the worst. I mean, it still has to deal with like Eternal Fire and stuff like that, but really it's that high ground from Day Trade. It's really making their life absolutely hellacious. Purdy is going to go down off of it, so if they can just survive a little bit longer, great for them. But Day Trade now knows that they're weakened, knows that that's one of the few places that you can actually play in this circle. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a gamble play for that one.
Yeah. I mean, I can see Day Trade trying to take that position. I could even see TE making a go if there's like a scrap between Day Trade where they lose a couple players with TSM in that fight, because there's no real compounds anywhere in Yaz that are really viable for anybody who's outside of this circle to try to drive into safely.
What are you trying to do here, Debate?
I think he's going for TSM maybe, or what's he lining up for here? Not TSM.
There's not a lot of people inside of like field positioning just quite yet. So
yeah, the only people I really see on the map is TSM. Here we go. Day Trade is making this move.
I like this. Do the stop off over at the antenna tower first. Manage to make the landfall, but the angles from Petrichor Road just pick them apart.
My goat. Aches left. If he starts to heat up, folks, he is a player who can just start winning games by himself. So good. There it is, Diffix, let's go. Nice shots, gonna take some of those points away. Oh my goodness, absolutely incredible.
TSM, the only squad that is mortarable, and he just drops it right on top of him. Meanwhile, TE, they've got a goal of their own. They're sending it over here right next to Petrichor Road. Petrichor Road trying to defend in, and it is going to be Diffex again coming up, putting in some work, and pretty much controlling the circle in and of itself. They now have eyes and lining in on this one, and all of Na'Vi is trying to pick apart Expendables as they make the approach. They're unofficially helping out everything that's happening over here, as it is going to be Petrichor Road. Aikslip goes down. Delwyn trying to find some more opportunities, but look at this. It's just feasting over here, already at 3 kills for everybody on Na'Vi.
Yeah, TE tried to make a timing move there, but Aikslep did enough damage to slow them up. Then some other teams getting involved. Now Na'Vi's turn. Hakatori leading the way in the coop, trying to find the end for this Petrichor Road team. Ming trying to hold the line, got one, couldn't get sauceted.
Quick picks between the two of them. Summer stepping out. He's got to defend his squad. He's got to give him some time. He has to get back over here. He has to go back to medic duty. This guy's job right now is to just try to keep everybody alive. Fortunately, he did enough work there at the tail end with assistance that everything has had to stop off, and now Na'Vi is playing backs up against the wall. So we've got a pretty much quiet city, and all the action hinging around just the trench that TSM was playing in Petrichor Road.
That's a massive hold from Petrichor Road. Twisted Minds 2 up, still waiting behind this shack. Doing a good job in these early games, at least getting points, at least getting deeper into games, even when things haven't gone their way early on. Sonics are going to try to make a push. Shrimzy kickstart trying to get up the stairs. H-Win trying to support with some nades, but I don't think there's anybody home in that building from the Kwangdong Freaks. But let's see if the Freaks can continue their just unbelievable run of shutting teams out in the mid to late part of the game. See if they can find another deep finish.
This fight has to end fast, though, because there is going to be T1. It's going to be gatekeeping out as well as Eternal Fire that we saw earlier. We do have the split going on with the Freaks where they've got 2 of their members holding down this one position. Means that Salute can actually do a back flank into this one if the Sonics are not careful. So it's kind of forced a 2v2 firefight across both of them. And oh, Heaven goes for the spray. Does not get the knock onto the Sonics members. There's just no vision. They were going for the shots off the footsteps in and of themselves. Are we going to see a retaliation come back? Kickstart wants it. Stepping in, goes for the spray, but narrowly misses it. He's going to go up, trying to find more, but cheeky play. It's going to be a jump up and around. Heaven trying to put in something, but H1 falls in. Nade lands on top of him. Sonics in some trouble right now. Tickleton just trying to hold back everybody else, but he goes down. Freaks feel unstoppable.
They don't feel, they are unstoppable. Gyumin with a beautifully placed, beautifully timed grenade is going to send the Sonics packing. Petrichor Road starting to fall apart. Twisted Minds reaching out, finding 2 big knocks. I mean, Aiksleft has been knocked a bunch. Lou going to be taken down by Code Marco. Perfectix going to try to go for this res, but they are outside of the next circle, trying to find a way in.
All right, 17 Gaming is going to be trying to move into Eternal Fire here in just a little while. Petrichor Road tried to move into where we saw TSM at just a moment ago. That place feels a little bit cursed right now. Freaks do need to continue their pathing, but they have to deal with the 2 members for Eternal Fire that are looking down into him. And yep, we're going to go ahead and spout out Heaven, get the knock on him. T1 actually not even looking on this angle yet. They don't have the best control over this due to all the smokes that's already managed to land down. Also, T1 is running a 3, actually it's kind of a 2-1-1. So it's going to be actually Xiao Bei that comes up back behind. Good play on this, realizing the fact that there's been a lot of firefighting going on, and it's him and T1 working together. Freaks just absolutely having a ton of trouble trying to make this last couple of meter push into the circle.
Yeah, all it took was that one knock to kind of slow him up. Xiao Bei, this is the 17 Gaming Classic, has a Panzer in hand. Heaven is going to be finished off by Type. Instead, Xiao Bei is going to pump the brakes for a moment to go for the reload. Bean trying to crawl his way to his IGL. Gyumin hiding in the bathroom, waiting to try to go for the res. Is Xiao Bei going to sniff this out?
It feels like he knows he's playing along the outside wall. He's got vision right in, but it's hard to get the angle into that one. So he's just going to take the blind shot, not going to pick up anything off of it. So T1's going to have plenty of information to work with. So with this Eternal Fire still pretty comfortable, but also getting some harassing shots. Type, though, in that high ground position still has a ton of vision and authority he can assert into this circle. This is kind of the only thing that's going on right now and is stalled out for the time being. Petrichor Road's taking a couple of harassing shots. Type, I mean, he's committed into playing his position. He realizes it's going to take too long to get down off that high ground to come support the rest of the squad. So he's just going to lean in. Bean does get the knock onto Xiao Bei, pauses that one out. And Xiao Wu's almost dead at this point, so he has to stop off, and he's just going to hunker down. The rest of the Freaks do not want to step out because they know T1's over here.
I really like this idea from T1, sending Type out early to gain a little bit of extra space. You know it's only a couple players behind you. You can just sort of lead 3 there, likely be able to hold this. Even though you did get a knock on the Ian, he's back up and running. Xiao Wu trying to do anything he can to get this revive through. Is going to start to stick it. Twisted Minds is finally going to fall in 8th. So they get a placement point, they get a few kills. So scraping together points, 5th place right now. Honestly not a bad start. And there's Gumin with a shotgun. Takes down Xiao Wu.
Smoke's clearing, getting ton of vision now. Gumin just pops it off, easy peasy. Jalbei is just going to go ahead and go for the charge in, realizing that maybe the Gusto will get it, but no. What? Instead, it's going to find onto Gumin.
What?
Quick exchange, he manages to make it happen. Absolutely wild play. Can he manage to make it back over to Xiao Wu? I don't know if he's going to be able to. No, it's going to be the end. Drops a nade right on top of him, and T1 now has to make a move of their own, but it's going to be right next to BB.
I don't know what happened with Bean there. I thought he was just going to step in and take out Xiao Bei. Gumin had to be begging for some help. Oh well. Neither here nor there. FaZe doing some damage to EN. He is going to back off momentarily. They're on the outside looking in. So are BB. FaZe, a little bit of their compound, I think, still in this next circle, but literally everyone else outside trying to fight their way through. Petrichor Road still kicking, still trying to find a way to get this game better under their control, but they've taken so many knocks, they've taken so much damage, trying to keep EF out.
Dude, it's just Poro's used car lot over there. There's so many vehicles. So Eternal Fire now stepping out, having to deal with the cover of all of those vehicles that does be provided. So with the shots coming out from FaZe, Petrichor Road has to make the commitment in, but Eternal Fire is going to find themselves in a crossfire, as there's going to be T1 coming up right back behind them. Mad goes down. It's going to be Akeslip just leading his way, seeing if he can spot out anything. Inside Smokes does spot out another one, going absolutely wild, but Zenith is going to shut that one down.
I mean, that's a lot of knocks. And Keppa, nice spray onto the jumping player at T1 there. Ming, though, in the back, gets it under control just in time. The T1's falling apart. Petrichor Road on a rampage.
They're just walking through it all right now. T1 trying to fight the line back. While this is going on, FaZe is just continuing harassing shots into it all. Type tries to go for another big play. Does get a lot of damage in, but BB in some trouble. FaZe can't quite manage to make it over there just yet, so might have some time to work with, as the rest of the members cannot move in. You can see T1 having to navigate back in. Looks like maybe he's making a play back into Petrichor Road. See if he can finish them off, but FaZe is just continuing harassing shots into him.
Dude, if one good grenade there from Fex could absolutely be disaster for BB, but he can't get the angle. He can't find the opportunity because he's still pinned inside of that building. Ming is going to clean down Raining. T1 out in 4th. We're down to a 2v2v2.
Oh, this is just neck and neck. With all that firefighting, Petrichor Road finally has some breathing room, as it is going to be BB right on top of FaZe. It's going to be Fex yet again.
There it is.
Performing for his squad whenever he needs to. Takes down Phil first. Crawling back over, seeing if maybe he can get the res, and it is going to be vital at this stage. There is enough time, but it looks like FaZe, they know that they can't step out of their compound too cleanly. Ming's doing a great job of holding it down, while Summer is flanking up. There's a crate that's up there and a couple of pieces of cover that he can play around, and he's sneaking in to open up a crossfire position.
That, if there was still the gear inside of that crate, that is so unbelievably massive. Yes, it's at a P90 to boot here for Summer. What a massive pickup for Petrichor Road. The longtime star player from China may just deliver a big win with a gift from that crate.
Dude, Petrichor Road had to fight tooth and nail for every single one of these, looking back down into the two other squads. Can they manage to survive through? Summer does get the knock on the best of luck. You can see that BB doesn't have too many options. FaZe trying to step out. It's going to be Ming that takes him down. Does get the flush as well. 10 kills right now. Feels like it's going to be 13 in just a moment.
I can hear Aches left behind me just cheering his team on. Every kill they get, he is pumped up. Bestelot going to bleed out. One hit now, and he's got it. Phil first down. BB out.
Just creeping forward, Fex, he's put up a massive amount of work today, but there is nowhere to go. Petrichor Road fought their whole way into that one. They managed to find the victory.
That was an unbelievably gritty game from Petrichor Road. Tooth and nail throughout so many different fights, so many different phases.
That was a brutal game to contend with. I mean, even looking back on FaZe and the performance, remember we saw them get caught in that firefight with, I believe it was Luna right towards the start of it. This whole thing was just a cascade of firefights and just making sure you could survive in desperate situations.
This was such a difficult game to play in. This circle is not favorable there at the end to anybody. That's why everybody's stuck out in the edge, grinding it out, trying to find a way to get through.
I mean, I love so many of the plays that we saw coming out. Type and the way that he was playing around it. There's so much to dive into as we're just going to get everything set for the next game.
The fields favor Petrichor Road here as Summer and Ming absolutely pop off here in game number 2 of our circuit finals. Petrichor Road get themselves a big win. Difficult for a FaZe and BB team to get out of their little spots that they were in, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, it's such a hard circuit to play, right? Yes, Naya and Nix are always so hard to execute here. And also, a little bit of a bait, like it's a pseudo-urban ending, right?
Yeah.
You had so many teams that had to go there because they had no one on chances, and also so many other teams were already playing in the fields, right? So extremely hard, but yeah, Petrichor Road managed to get so much out of this. And yeah, with what we saw here happening, like there was a crash on them, they were almost being knocked out quite early on.
Yes.
And they're actually able to convert this into a win.
That is the interesting thing about a field ending here, especially, right? It's the gamble. When do you go to the field? And even when we saw people commit to the field early, you're then being wounded. You're losing 2 here or there, but it doesn't mean to say that you're down and out at that point, because 2 can still win from the fields, a la what we witness here.
Exactly, but also with the urban ending and how everything turned out, like it ended up being a 2 versus 2 versus 2, which is extremely rare, right?
Yeah.
It's so often we see, and it really comes down to, again, how important it is to have those 3 or 4 guys alive, because if it was BB or FaZe with 4 guys alive here, they would have won that easily. But because they had to go through this insane fight here, and it was, again, so many teams dying from Naya and everything got pushed in how it was. Maximizing points here is just so crucial.
No, you're right. I mean, if FaZe or BB team in this situation have like an extra covering shot while somebody's transitioning, suddenly it becomes a whole lot less problematic for them, considering the position that they were in. But it's hiding. What's going on?
He's drinking something he can't drink.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, regardless of the fact here, Petrichor Road, brilliant points for them, all things considered. A difficult circle, a difficult time for everybody involved. We did think, I mean, of course, yes, the fields was always potentially a factor, but considering how many teams committed to Yasnaya, an urban ending was potentially on the cards there. And you're seeing teams like Kwangdong Freaks just go for the emergency pickup all the way from the top of Stalber,
like
trying to get in as deep as possible to it, knowing that if it was a potential, you've got to try and, you know, be there.
I feel like the reason why they went that deep is because they're expecting all the edges to be held. All the police station, library, everything, like, everything was supposed to be held. You mean the northern apartments, all like that. But there is actually so many opportunities for them to kind of get it. They actually maximized so many points, and Guman had an insane game for him.
Yes, he did, holding off Sonics as they were having a rough time. But let's take a look at the overall points for our top 4. It will be Petrichor Road in number 1. T1 again able to do some popping themselves with 8 kills going their way. FaZe with the 3, BB team with the 4. And we saw as when you were able to situate yourself on just the edges of Yasnaya, it does afford you a little bit of wiggle room towards those fields, a la a BB team from their position that they did have. But yeah, it's difficult to. You can't make decent transitions into the middle of that field because it is so open for them.
Yeah, you have to have that edge. You have to kind of move that way in, or you have to have that safety of a little small shack or a house or something like that, right? Otherwise, it makes it extremely impossible. Also, we saw TSM take that northern little dip there with smokes and with vehicles. It just doesn't work out. There's so many teams still safe and sound inside urban area, and it's too early. And it just. They get pounded from all sorts of utilities. Right?
Well, it becomes, as we take a look at the numbers coming in here from Petrichor Road, it got even harder to take field positions early with the introduction of Mortar and things like that, right? With Mortar being an oppressive tool against some of these positions, it makes it all the more difficult. But for Summer, what a game. Alongside Ming here, those 2 towards the end, they were like, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. There was no shots coming their way, and they were peppering BB team and FaZe.
Yeah, I really like what they were able to do, of course, just slamming down some SLR shots, getting it in. When both of the teams had to move, they were able to just convert that. Here, of course, Summer, man of the match, great to see. A long, legendary player, actually been playing the game for so long, obviously, here, and now playing on Petrichor Road for some time.
It is interesting that, you know, obviously some are back on the roster, back good to go here, because there was a change up at PGS 6, right? And I don't know exactly what they felt internally about the varying degrees of success that provided to them, with Ixlef just completely fully taking the reins in that regard. But maybe these are the strong positives towards this roster sitting this way. 23 points in a game for your second game of very important points gains towards PGC Grand Finals. It's not too bad at all.
It is not at all. I really like what we're seeing from them here. And also, especially when we have mean, you're playing with your boss essentially, right? It's a little bit hard.
Yes.
Hardships there for them, but still, when you're able to pull off a game like this, like
did you say playing with your boss is a hard shift?
Yeah. Hard ship.
Oh, ship. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, the circle's tough there.
But they're on 30 points now, James, and yeah, they're going to be sitting pretty.
Yes, absolutely. Brilliant stuff from Petrichor Road for that one. 15-15 across the placements and kills. Eternal Fire with the 25. Still, Kwangdong Freaks still in the third position. They're pretty good.
Really consider. Well, we're getting to the wildcard maps now. Let's see if they can convert any of that. But I got to say, while we look at the circuit here, right? If you're a team that's coming in, like you know, only playing the circuit final here, like...
Yes.
Let's see what happens today. But it could end up that you only play in the circuit finals twice in a row. The amount of games that you play, the amount of games that you, like competitive games against the players that you're playing against, when do you think that becomes a problem in terms of like total game time, prac time? Because
for the warmth.
Yeah, for the length. Because in a perfect situation, right, I would argue that if you still play all circuits and you get 9th in every final and you accrue enough points to go finals, you would have played every single day and still play grand finals. I feel like that amount of game time would put you in a better spot, right? You know
it's
what I mean?
weird, right? Because the seeding going into our next ones is based off of the ranking here for this. So top 4 will start in day 3, and then the 5th through 8th will start in day 2. But if you really wanted to be warm in the other days, then you would have sacrificed points to stop this. Stop this nonsense.
No. I like it.
But regardless, I mean, let's look and go for those top teams at the moment across just 2 games. We got 4 more coming your way. We're going to go to a short break. When we return, more from PGC 2024.
But you catch me when I'm falling. No one else but you. When the evening comes and the stars appear, it's the greatest thrill to know I'm near you. No one else but you.
Sanhok is a destructible map. A rebalance to the SMG lineup. And solo play for the win streak showdown. All this and more as we dive into the update 33.1 patch report. First up, it's time to celebrate your chaos, because Sanhok is becoming a destructible map. Starting this update, parts of buildings, props, and key structures can all be destroyed by explosives or the red zone. It's even getting destructible terrain like Rondo. And speaking of that red zone, it's getting a few changes as well. Sanhok is also seeing some changes to textures, terrain, and more. So be sure to take in its new look before you blow it up. Head on over to the patch notes to check out the changes. Next, we've made some pretty significant adjustments to SMGs in an effort to keep enhancing weapon diversity and making sure SMGs have their own signature feel. Hipfire, movement, and OTS accuracy have all seen big improvements for most of the SMG family. In addition, 9mm ammo weighs less now, so you can carry more with you into the endgame. You can get the full details on the changes by checking out the patch notes. The fan-favorite Win Streak Showdown game mode is also getting some love this update. You can now choose to join the showdown solo instead of with a squad. We've also lowered the number of consecutive match wins needed for maximum rewards from 5 to 3. So drop in and see how far you can go. There's also a new Survivor Pass, ranked Season 33, map bug fixes, and more. So check out the patch notes for full details. Update 33.1 is here. So start your win streak, kit out your SMG, and drop into Sanhok like a wrecking ball. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
The name of the game has been momentum going through the last 2 days, and we've got a couple of squads that are really starting off this one with a ton of it. Meanwhile, a couple of squads that we came in with higher expectations have been navigating some very brutal circles and not finding the success that we were maybe expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, credit where credit is due. I think some of our top teams have been dealt some pretty difficult hands, but Twisted Minds has, in my opinion, done the best of those like top 4 teams that were coming in terms of navigating bad situations that were presented to them. As always, they're really tenacious at finding those little moments, just surviving deeper into games, finding those kills. But you have to be so impressed with the likes of EF and Petrichor Road right now. Petrichor Road in particular, that game was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. They had to contend with so many different teams, trying to crash them, trying to get them out of their positions, and they fought all the way through.
I mean, we saw what happened to TSM playing the exact same position just a circle before that, and how they just got ripped apart by mortars, Day Trade up on top. So it was a good read from Day Trade, not Day Trade, I'm sorry, by Petrichor Road to kind of sneak in there, pick up some of the loot off of it, try to use that to establish themselves in positioning. It's a much friendlier position to play. Yes, that is true whenever we get rid of those high ground sight lines, but that said, they were just taking a ton of damage every step of the way as everybody coming out of Yasnaya was having to do the same. And I also want to, while they didn't have the best of games overall, T1 I felt had so many smart plays along the lines, realizing whenever they need to execute to go for kills, how they need to exploit out that 3-1 split, having Type in that high ground position, gave them so much information to work around.
Yeah, I'm really impressed overall with what T1 has been showing us so far at PGC. It is a significant improvement, in my opinion. And again,
1000%.
that goes back to the new coach. You bring Sonic in, you've got a guy who's won a PGC, you bring him into the team, and you can already see what a difference he's able to make, to get a fire lit underneath this team, to get them playing more aggressive, a little bit more smart, kind of reading situations a little bit better. The Freaks still look good. I mean, you know, overall, they're still finding good fights, they're taking good fights, they're winning a lot of those fights. That's the Freaks that we've come to know for this event.
Well, that 2-2 collapse onto Sonics was a thing of beauty to watch, the way that it was executed. But let's go ahead and move into our next map, as we've got Tago up and ready to go as we are moving into game number 3, as everything is building in on our Circuit 1 Grand Final.
Absolutely, and this plane path, a lot more fair than the ones we saw on Erangel. We're going pretty well down the middle, so access to basically just about every drop spot you could want for these teams. And Hosan Prison, nobody really drops there. Maybe the Sonics, if they want to reach out, but they're already out of the plane. So nope. Just going to be the Army base for them. So I don't expect anything super crazy here. Looking at the map, I think this should be pretty stock standard for the early part of the game.
Hey, it's got to happen sooner or later. I know we both love our crazy circles, but man, we just got 2 of them back-to-back. Give the players a second to get their feet underneath of them, as we have a couple of teams that haven't even really had a chance to show themselves over here.
Oh, well, I take it back. There is a hot drop.
Oh.
I missed it. This is Youngchun, and this is T1 and FaZe. So this is going to be rather spicy, it looks like, Matt. This is, well, yeah, okay, there's already one player down. Zenith has Jeems. And it's been a rough day for Jimbo, the Juggernaut.
I know, the Sandhawk King over there having a bit of trouble off the get-go on this one. But, I mean, T1, we were talking about how clean that they were playing, the efficiency, and how they're navigating the map. It feels like they feel a lot more comfortable, and that is a mean circle into that plane path. Oh, gosh, who are the only 2 teams that are inside of it? Falcons and who?
I think it's a Korean team. Maybe they might start with a K.
How do they? I don't know. They have some type of tool or something. They just know. They know.
Yeah, I mean, they're just. Certainly, there have been some scenarios where the circles have been favorable to them. You don't win 6 games in 2 days without that occasionally happening. But it's really been their like mid to late game stuff that they do that is really impressive. But that's neither here nor there. As Korexi did find a shotgun kill onto Zenith. Just earlier, taking down Jeems. Should be an easy finish with that pumped shotgun. So a 1-for-1 so far here in Youngchun. And Korexi looked out over the top. SMGs in play in this scenario. If that AK finds a head, could be devastating for EN.
Yeah, we're still on very low economy for these teams to navigate through, but it looks like most of the FaZe members are pretty close to reinforcing each other. Instead, it looks like T1's playing a bit more of an outskirts position. Ian has to step away. Raining's going to have some covering fire for him, but shots going to come out from Gustav. Juking through, Ian does manage to make it to safety, so that should buy some time, but Type, who's been playing these off angles in such a magnificent way, looks like he's going to be the guy that's kind of odd man out for right now, kind of making sure that he corrals the rest of the squad. Is going to spot out anybody just quite yet from FaZe. Looks like he took a couple of shots at the guys on top of the hill. On top of the building, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit of help from a guardrail there for T1 as Gustav's mutant wasn't able to really connect. Korexi with a vector, starting to inch his way forward. Type trying to find a little bit of a different position. Has the high ground. I assume he has to know he's pretty well clear there to kind of get an angle of any kind that he really wants. So this is, of course, a spot that the new coach for T1 is very, very familiar with. This is often Donawa's drop spot on this map. So certainly he has some input into how this hot drop will play out. Saw Panzer floating around in the mix as you would expect. Look at the Falcons, though. They've got a bit of a firing line on Gumin. Gumin with a Panzer of his own, but that's not a really favorable angle to use it unless they like drive at him with the car.
Well, it looks like the rest of Freaks were trying to reinforce, but they're kind of caught up with the Sonics right now who are trying to make a rotation. So reinforcement's not capable of coming in. Gumin knows that he's probably going to have to get out of here pretty soon, but he doesn't have a lot of reinforcements. It's just going to be Bean, looks like the only one that has an easy pathing over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Freaks want to do 2-2 splits early. This one looked like they were trying to fan out and kind of figure out if anybody had made a quick rotation or anything like that as quick as possible. The problem is if you commit resources to that, you've got to make sure that you're not losing any players along the way, that you're getting those 4 up into those late game scenarios. That's what's been so effective for the Freaks throughout PGC here in 2024, and nobody really overstepping. I mean, things have really slowed down in this fight. Korexi in kind of a dangerous spot potentially, but you know, E-End is on the other side of him, and there really isn't a lot that they can do about it just yet without a little bit more information. But T1 is starting to kind of maybe piece this together, that they can isolate Corexi. You know, Fex and Gustav pretty far out from their teammate.
Well,
and if,
I don't blame anybody in this situation, because this was such an early firefight with the Nox coming into play, and specifically onto Jeems, that everybody's having to go into some type of looting phase at this point, right? That's always the downside, is whenever you end up in these early hot drops on top of each other, when do you pick up the loot? Because you're still having to control, keep an eye out for everything. So it looks like we see FaZe trying to make sure that they're doing a little bit of a leapfrog in their looting, while also trying to keep some control, and maybe that's Corexi's role in the middle there, but it is definitely dangerous.
For sure. And Twisted Minds was just taking a peek over into that fight. They know it's happening. They were seeing if maybe they could steal a few kills away. We've seen that to them at Power Grid a few times in the past on Miramar. You know, maybe they were seeing if they could steal a point away, but nothing doing right now as the fight in Yeongcheon is really slowed down. 17 has gotten pretty far ahead themselves. They're still southeast of Godok, but they are just going to kind of go into their typical formation. This time, though, it's going to be Suju out on his own, the IGL 417 Gaming. Na'Vi having a strong day so far, 5th place, 17 points, and looking to try to wrap around the very northern edge, and there is no one within even a kilometer of them.
Pretty wide and open. Quick update on what was going on with that situation with the Falcons, Sonics, as well as the Freaks. Looks like that's all kind of broken apart now. So the 2-2 split for the Freaks still feeling pretty good for the time being, as it looks like we do have a bit of an interview with Wetpa.
Hi guys, it's Bella with our mid-match interviews. I'm joined by Eternal Fire's Kwepa. Salam Kwepa. All right, congratulations on your first win. That timing was immaculate. I want to ask you, what were the comms like? Were you excited or calm?
İlk olarak tebrikler. Maçta zamanlama sizin için mükemmel oldu ve maçın son bölümünde birbiriniz arasında, yani takımınız içinde haberleşmeler, iletişimler nasıl geçti?
Yani ilk birkaç circle şanslıydık. Pek iletişim olmadı. Zaten circle ortasındaydık. Sonradan circle bizden çektiği için biraz güvenli bir pozisyona geçmemiz lazımdı. Orada da konuşup 3 kişiyi güvenli yere gönderip bir kişi de cross kalıp kampanta circle oyunuyla devam ettik.
So we were a little unfortunate in the previous games, in the games last days, and today, because there are the other two teams, they were fighting among themselves. So we were a little lucky today, and so in the last part, we have to go to the security zone, and there were 4 of us. Three of us would go to the security zone, and another person used the telescope to see the space. So we cooperated very nicely.
Just waiting for the right time. That was perfect. All right, that was Kwepa, and we're going to go back to Tago. Bye.
While it was going on, we did have an emergency pickup come up over for Luna Galaxy. They did drop over next to the northern part of the Freaks split, as Petrichor Road is making a rotation next to the tail end of Luna Galaxy, as they did only send a couple of their members up there, so it's just going to be Haven down there by himself.
Yeah, most of their members ended up in Haemusa, the temple up on the western coast of Tago, and Chewy clipped the edge of that rock. Hopefully he's okay there. I think that's a boat that the last player of Luna Galaxy is in.
Yes, we're going to get one in this one. Oh, Tailwind.
Oh, the previous match highlights. Show me some more of this Petrichor Road stuff, because they were just destroying people. This is disgusting from Aches left. And then Delwyn slams in there. Looks like he might have just kind of kept up that momentum he had from the previous fight against the Falcons, but it was just barely shut down. And then a tough exit for a couple different teams for BB and FaZe results in them just kind of getting shredded by the DMRs, Petrichor Road.
I mean, this was just, you can see, they were just having to maneuver so many different positions, bounce between everything. Petrichor Road played that. I mean, it was a dirty game, and they played it as clean as you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. With everything that was thrown at them, to come out with the win was extremely impressive. Hey, this fight's still happening.
We're back over here, as nobody cares about blue zones right now. They care more about winning the firefight and getting control over the territory. Shotguns on one side. Fex is going to get vision on 2 of the members for T1, but it is going to be Corexi. Spots out E-End, gets the knock onto him. Raining also pretty low on life, as it does look like FaZe is starting to get more control over this, steady as she goes.
Yeah, the patience here really paying off for the side of FaZe. T1, though, trying to think about this res. Going to throw a stun up and over. Not exactly sure Raining, you know, is Corexy going to try to push with that shotgun? It has to be in the back of your mind that he's going to try to find that opportunity. But that door is closed, it opens, so Type should be able to cover this. Let's see what Fex can do.
We've seen him make some big plays. Spots out, no, does go down. Corexy does not want to commit into assistance just quite yet. That wall going to be a big problem for him as there's not any clean vision on it unless he goes for the jump down. And yep, he's just going to go after the pop in. But FaZe Clan, they get popped in the face. It's going to be Type again on that off angle. This guy has been making so many big plays for T1.
Absolutely. He is a really, really good player. Their top fragger in Korea. Doing a good job. Vinny finding Solalzi out in the open for Cerberus as well, but does a little bit of damage. Doesn't really want to stick around. You got two solo players kind of vying for rotation paths out here on the western coast, and Vinny happy with what he did and just says, you know what, we've already only got 3. We got to wait for our 4th member to get here on the boat, and that's Haven. Looks like he should be able to get there, assuming he has enough gas, which I would imagine he does.
I mean, it's a pretty quick jaunt over there. The thing I'm concerned with is Petrichor Road taking emergency pickup into this pretty tiny circle right now where there's a ton of people already making rotations. You can see it's going to be TE on one side of it, 17 on another. We also have TSM making an approach in. So while this is going to be going on, Petrichor Road has to figure out some way to land in the thick of all of this. They're going to be able to get some vision on these rotating vehicles, but there's also a lot of tree cover over here where a lot of these guys have kind of leaned into a couple of control points that they're trying to play from. So see if that stops over for anything. It's going to be Daytrade spots out one bit of this rotation. Good spray up that hillside, but Flash is going to take some damage, has to step away. Thanadol getting some vision on it as well, but this is the stop-off.
Yeah, Daytrade trying to keep the Expendables off their backs, but a good grenade from Duck Juice. Puts Nurens down. Belmoth gonna have to flank a different direction. Oh, they're gonna land right in the middle of all this. They're coming down right next to this fight.
They're gonna just hot drop right into the thick of this, and you can see everybody on the Expendables trying to counter move around it. 17 Gaming also caught in a firefight just on the outside of this, so they can't take too much more. Some are just landing. He's scouting with bullets on his body right now. It's like, okay, guys, there's somebody over here, there's somebody over here, trying to juke around all the cover, and it looks like they are gonna commit in. They realize with all the smokes down, this has to be a weakened squad, but with the separation and approach, you can see Aixlef got caught up with 17 Gaming. He had to drop off a bit further away from everybody else.
Yeah, that's painful for Petrichor Road. That probably is going to make it a lot harder for them to commit to this fight. Now that both the Expendables and Daytrade as well have backed off, nobody really wants to kind of in phase 2 lose 2-3 players, maybe your whole squad to an early dust-up, and Petrichor Road may have been the sort of divider there that broke up that fight.
I mean, essentially a red light on that fight is that would look like we could see a pretty big push coming out, and then suddenly everybody stepped away from it. I mean, Daytrade had to retreat down. They were also getting a couple of shots coming out from, I believe it's going to be Cerberus. Meanwhile,
classic.
TSM.
NA on NA violence.
Of course, and Delwyn, that's not the place you want to be, as he's going to go down. And now the Expendables, where do you even go, man? You already know that Daytrade's on the other side, Petrichor Road's up above you. This is just damage control. Right back to where you were a second ago with just losing a member.
I feel like we're playing Squid Games out here. Red
We really
light,
are.
green light, red light, green light. You know, it just everybody's trying to get out and do something, and every time they do, they just get kind of beaten back, and 17's just out there just being like, you guys aren't going anywhere. We've got a lot of control over some of this zone, so no, please, we are cool for now, but this is not where you want to be as the Expendables. These little farmhouses are dangerous, to say the least.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that, but Daytrade looks like they saw the vehicles leave, and they're caught up looking at the Freaks right now, and I don't know if they know that there was a return of the Expendables so quickly immediately after that. Is you can see the Expendables just having to lean away from the windows. They don't want to do anything there. Circle continues into the west, so that means it's going to be Sonics, Twisted Minds, Falcons, TSM, Eternal Fire, as well as a BB team, all having to make it into the circle.
I have big questions about what the heck the Freaks are going to do to get back together. I mean, you have to drive out of these fields with Bean and Yumian to try to get back up to heaven and salute on the other side of the circle. There is a little bit of an opening. See if they can make it through. Meanwhile, Falcons and TSM still squaring up. And Snakers did get a knock.
Petrichor Road also found a vehicle, and that is big after the emergency pickup.
I can't believe they found the space here. This is just great for the Freaks.
So they do manage to sneak right by this one, as it did get a bit hairy for a second. BB team also looks like they're collapsing on the tail end of Cerberus, which we can see in just one moment. We also have the Godok Extradition that's going to have to happen in a second. So that's going to be a bit problematic, as Sonics do have containment over the north.
T1 is hyped up after that. I mean, it's very important, especially in
right now.
Exactly. I mean, not only do you have a decent day going for yourselves, but you're actually winning your hot drop on top of it. I mean, it is just what a different team we're seeing, and that's going to be Lou certainly done. I don't think Twisted Minds has any hope of rescuing him. And with the Sonics posted up on this hill, Twisted Minds maybe thought they could get away with a drive up, and this is all outside of the new circle. So Grenade is going to finish the job there. Twisted Minds down a player early again.
I mean, there's no clean pathing for them to navigate through right now, and with this Sonics split, they were hoping the fact that somebody was going to have to come out of Godok picks them up. Problem is, we do have T1 that's also approaching over into the east of this, actually to the northeast. So I think that Sonics might realize that this could be a bit of a problem, regroup with the other members as they're pretty close to the circle, and might allow Twisted to try to figure out some way to deal with T1 for them.
Yeah. Oh, I love that our observers are showing us what they loaded up into that porter. That's really, really cool that they've got just a lot of extra helmets. I mean, one of the things that you lose pretty easily in PUBG esports is helmets. And so to have a bunch of extra of those, a little bit extra ammo as well. And I'm kind of with you. I'd like to see the Sonics eventually kind of pull off this gatekeep. Let T1, TSM fight it out. Kurt's going to find an AWM at the price of a little bit of damage to that level 3 vest. But other than that, maybe okay, but still trying to get back in towards the edge of the city to see if he can reinforce and help them against the Falcon.
I don't know how the Falcons or TSM even managed to make it in the circle at this stage, since they're so on top of each other at this point. There's not a lot of options. They're moving into an open field area where a lot of teams are going to be able to see them. It's going to be difficult. Twisted does a much further northern wrap, actually circumvents the entirety of T1. They're going to be navigating this one up. Looks like Raining could be able to spot them out, but I think he's just going to kind of let that one pass. Two ships passing in the night and going, okay, nobody wants a blue zone fight. I might try to pick up your last member. Perfectix doesn't even look like he's going to take any damage out of it, just blue zone damage taking him down, so he should be able to continue on his merry way for now. New circle's about to pop, and where are we going? It's going to be to the south.
Yeah, we're ping-ponging around a bit on this one. Going to the southeast of Haemusa. A lot of flat space out here, some rolling hills. Definitely not as congested with trees and foliage as some of the other parts of Tago. This part of the map, to me, reminds me a little bit of like the area northwest of school on Erangel. And looking at this fight, 17 and everybody on this northeastern side, that's going to be a meat grinder.
TSM managed to get away, but they're going to have a big, well, I was going to say they're going to have a big problem is they're going to be entering in a very terrible situation. Falcon's going to be also caught up looking into 17 Gaming, forcing them to move into TE as well as Day Trade in that position we saw just a second ago. 17 Gaming, what are you going to do? You're being harassed from the backside, so you're going to have to make some type of move. It's going to be Xlift, just spins back around, drops Rello, but hey, a new challenger approaches. It's going to be TSM rolling right into the thick of both of these squads. 17 Gaming is eliminated, but it does come at a bit of a cost. Pretty Curdy is going to go down flush, but it's going to be Sparking as well as Luke 12, at least managing to make landfall. Let's not forget Petrichor Road is just to the north of this position, while we also have Eternal Fire, the Mad, moving in back behind Day Trade.
Still, though, making the best out of a bad situation, frankly, is TSM here. Getting some much-needed kills, finding a good timing to swoop in, knock out 17, who's currently in 12th place, hovering at that bubble, you know, towards that bottom of the leaderboard. You know, you want to be top 8 here, so you can guarantee yourself an exit out of the first day of the next circuit. Something to really keep in mind as the day rolls on.
What's really big right now is Sonic's making a rotation up to the north, so therefore Petrichor Road is caught trying to take shots at them. Falcons is still kind of gate capped out right now, so they can't move in. That's allowing this to kind of settle into its own independent firefight for the time being. I can't say that it's not a third party because we've got like 4 teams all up on top of each other, but Falcons, as they're trying to make their way in, is going to be the bad side of this one, is there's just no real easy way to make their way in. Sparking trying to hit a couple more shots, did manage to flush out at least Rello, but now he's got some problems in. Falcons still need to make it about another 100 meters, but there is no path. While this opportunity is going on, Petrichor Road was taking shots into the Falcons, but that's allowed Sonics to try to sneak in on a different angle. They're trying to backstab, while Twisted Minds is also coming in back behind Sonics. This is just a full, 8-team firefight?
Yeah, there is a lot going on over here, and TSM, though, has their backs at least clear enough momentarily that they're going to try to put some pressure down onto the Falcons. These grenades are being nicely dodged by Snakers and Roth, trying to keep themselves alive. You're going to use this blue zone, trying to clear this edge, but a good grenade from Sparking finally finds the mark for TSM. Now Snakers going to try to load up with one of his own.
Oh, here's the problem, though. Xlift is decided he's going to put some attention over there, so he's trying to get a sight line and can't spot it, so he steps away. Snakers gets an opportunity to move in. Nade's going to be landing right on top of him, but it is just fighting every single step that he has to take. No options to really work with. TSM retreats back away with the distraction of what's going on with Eternal Fire and a Day Trade. There's a new opportunity to work with. Luke Tool's got an angle to play from, but Snakers does at least get the knock onto Sparking, but that should be resible.
Yeah, this is a good move there by TSM, and I think this is Petrichor Road starting to light them up. Excuse me, it's TE. TE's grenades gonna finish off TSM, but a good fight for them. Honestly, again, making the most out of a bad situation for TSM. Tip your cap a little bit as KDF trying to lock down that northern side. Did find Kraken, Twisted Minds, lost a player to T1. Perfectix, though, gonna find Tiggleton out in the open. The smokes trying to come in. Are they gonna get there in time? No.
There's just no clean angle. I mean, Twisted doesn't even have an opportunity to make a way into the circle. Type, though, he's going to use the opportunity between the firefight between Twisted as well as Sonics to sneak his way into the circle. Says, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's not forget about the other gatekeeping squad in this position that's looking at Twisted as well as Sonics. And, of course, it's going to be the Freaks.
Yeah, the Freaks are expertly positioning themselves throughout this first stage. They've done such a good job preparing for this event. Petrichor Road stuck behind a rock trying to gatekeep a couple different teams down to their south, trying to keep this road under their fire control. It is going to be a grenade there that is going to finish off Twisted Minds. So the Freaks, job done so far in keeping that northern edge under their purview. TE now had to make a move, but they're losing players quickly, and they are done.
I mean, there's just been a firefight going on over here for almost 2.5 circles. There's just no options. Eternal Fire doing a great job of just keeping control, lockdown on position. It's what they've been known to do. Daytrade, though, having to deal with contenders on both sides. Petrichor Road trying to creep in, use the opportunity, but it is going to be Daytrade sneaking back in, looking at it, realizing that that is the closer range threat, but there's just too many people, too many different angles. They cannot keep it all under wraps, and instead getting slowly pinched, slowly picked apart. Flash now the last one up, having to deal with 2 members of Eternal Fire just to his south, and all Petrichor Road. But Petrichor Road distracted as now they have to deal with Sonics yet again.
Oh, what a shot there from Akelef to keep the Sonics off their backs. The Sonics were trying to find a timing when that fight was dusting up that they could have maybe swooped in and gained some points. Instead, Akelef was very wise to it, shut it down quickly. Now Chewy gonna try to pressure them with a little bit of cover fire from the rest of his team. Kickstart trying to find an opportunity to maybe get a res or just try to drive on through them. This is dangerous.
Yeah, that is just not going to happen. There are too many people there, instantly shut down. So now the Freaks have vision on what's going on with Petrichor Road. While all of this is going to be going on, let's not forget about Eternal Fire regrouping down to the south. BB team also trying to maneuver into the area that Cerberus has under control. 8 teams up as pretty much everybody that was over into the east passes away. It's just going to be Eternal Fire and Petrichor Road, the only teams that managed to make it out.
Yeah, BB slow and steady. 2 really strong teams throughout the first couple of days, and you can see EF already aware that there's probably going to be somebody at their backs as they're trying to disengage from that fight from Petrichor Road. The angle Petrichor Road has down into them is very, very good, very favorable, and BB's is also going to be very strong. So going to try to continue to maneuver their way forward, using a lot of these smokes to block off potential counter angles from the top of the hill. Code Marco sees the one going out. Really dangerous maneuver here for a doozy.
That was bold, steps right into it, but oh, guess what? Here comes Petrichor Road coming in for the backstab yet again. Playing clean, but Akelef is going to go down. Good spin back from Code Marco, making sure to try to control, but it is going to be BB team now making sure to pinch down on anything that's going to be happening with Eternal Fire. While this is happening, Cerberus looks like they're also trying to counter move into it, but Freaks are trying to find a path in the circle of their own. They might be collapsing in on this any given moment. Petrichor Road realizes this, now has to send Chewy back to make sure to defend their backside so that way nobody can come after him, and maybe they can finish out the fight with Eternal Fire and deal with BB team.
Yeah, you are going to lose Akelef. He did find 3 kills in this, and the Freaks certainly know that they are going to be in a very favorable situation. However, Chewy has hidden himself behind this rock, waiting for the players, waiting for a few extras, and he's going to find at least one. Can he get the transfer? He does! Beautiful from Chewy.
Petrichor Road is playing beautifully right now. They're pretty damaged and just trying to limp their way into the circle, but this is going to open up an opportunity. BB team hears it. They're trying to exploit. They want to continue their pathing in back behind. Cerberus, they have Duckmai that looks like he's trying to sneak in back behind, forcing this pathing in and of itself. So Petrichor Road realize the fact that they have to deal with the threats have now circumvented and now kind of contained in what's going on with Freaks. Freaks overstepped and then now moved into a firing line that Petrichor Road absolutely loves because BB team can see him as well.
Yeah, probably the biggest misstep of the tournament that we've seen from the Freaks. Not expecting a player to be hiding behind that rock. Thought they could just get on top of the hill and barrel down in the fight. Petrichor Road, great awareness being shown in a couple different situations where they were being attempted to be backstabbed. Hemas going to step up, take down Bestalock, and here comes Cerberus. They're springing into action.
Oh, but let's not forget about Chewy, man. He's sneaking up back behind this as well. Imas takes some damage. Phil first is going to be the one that gets the knock onto him. So damage Cerberus has to realize the fact that there could be some problems. Petrichor Road, though, do not count them out. They want every single point that they can find, and they are continuing to hunt after them. Chewy will not relent. 9 kills for Petrichor Road, 5 on Chewy.
He is just doing a great job out there, finding those moments when BB players were completely exposed. Good 3x sprays with that AUG, and here comes Haven. Here comes Luna Galaxy. This has been their bread and butter so far this event, finding these great third parties, and now they've got Cerberus in their sights.
They're going to step into a thick of a firefight. A weakened Cerberus tries to get the shots in, but Duckmai is going to shut that down pretty quick. Haven does get the knock on Himas yet again. Haisaki looks like he's going to counter move around that rock, could make a big play of his own. Solzy going to spot out a good shift out. Posa's going to go down. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Navi's just taking complete control over the circle. Chewy's trying to make sure that he sneaks in, maybe can backstab this. So Luna Galaxy now has to shift their attention into yet another backstab on this position coming out from Navi.
Dude, Chewy might just be picking up a couple more kills here. Cerberus is fully tunneled on this fight with Luna, trying to end it. They do. Solalzi gets it and immediately gets shot in the back, but doesn't get knocked. That's crucial there. That might just be enough time. However, Navi's on the scene. Hakatori's got Duckmai down.
Just rolling in. Navi wants to be a part of this party as well. Not picking up as many kills as all of the firefighting was happening on the opposing side of this hill. They did not have clean sight lines to play from. Let's not forget Chewy's down here. Solzy's down here, as well as Human. So it is a 3v1v1v1, but all the angles pretty much lined up except for Chewy and Solzy, who are pretty much stacked up right up against this other two from Navi. They're trying to, still, they're caught up. They're like, no, we're going to finish this, Navi. We'll deal with you in just 1 second.
Oh, yeah. Man, Chewy. Just what a game he's having here. This has been brilliant from him. I mean, the timings that he's finding are absolutely immaculate. Like, and the way that he's hiding himself, and then he's crouching and keeping his kind of sounds obscured, showing up to these fights at the perfect moments. Gyumin is still alive, has a role to play with it. I mean, we've already seen a big clutch out of him this event. Maybe he's got another one in store. Diffix looking for that extra player. Gyumin with a vehicle. He's going to be heard. He's going to be spotted. Diffix instead trying to make sure that Chewy isn't going to be able to be kind of a thorn in his side. Instead, Gyumin going to try to wrap all the way around. Gyumin playing for second place, playing for some kind of clutch. Is able to get to the other side of the road. What is Navi's response going to be? Because you can't let this guy run around right now. He's tearing everybody apart.
I know. Chewy appreciates this. We're seeing Petrichor Road use every single distraction that's being presented to try to find something to happen. Diffx is going to shut it down, though, as it does feel like this is pretty much done for Navi. They've got it completely on lock. Human, though, the last remaining hurdle to secure their victory. Still wanting some more in and of himself. Already going to take a ton of damage. Hakatori playing from a rock. Ton of position they can play from. Easily going to pick that one up. So there you go. Navi making it look simple. Coming in, swooping in after